Hey, what's up? I think we're live. Hopefully you can see me well. I don't know why I see a weird preview of myself. So let me test it out. Things have been a little crazy technically, on a technical level. Okay, yeah, good. I can see myself just fine. I don't know what's up with YouTube. But in any case, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I don't know why I see myself in the preview like huge. It's like I'm filling up the entire... It's like my head is this big in the preview I see. But in any case, thank you so much for joining. Hey, Brett, first, welcome aboard. Mary C, sorry about your message retracted. Artology, hey buddy, how are you? I'm great. How are you doing? In today's live stream, we're going to do some fun painting together. Let me show you what we'll work on, and then we'll get to slowly start to work on it as people come in. We're going to paint a scene from Paris. Of course, Sam says, hey, looking forward to this. Paris is an amazing city indeed. Beautiful views. Was lucky enough to find this reference photo that's actually like against the light. The sun is just in front of us. That's a pretty rare view to find in such a... Usually when it's professionals taking the photos, it's great, don't get me wrong, but the saturation is too high. The photo it's too professional that I really don't have much to do with it. It's way too colorful for me, but this picture that looks maybe a little more amateurish, I think it's great, by the way. Can actually work really well for our purpose. So I do have a link to it in the description box below, and we will paint it together, just making sure things show properly. Let's see what you're saying in the chat. We have a bunch of messages. Brett says, how's it going? I'm doing great. Stephen Storch, you're a great inspiration. Thank you for that. Deep Krishan Kukreti, hello. Artology says, I'm Arun Kumar from India. Hey, I think I remember you from a different platform, though I'm not sure. Muna, hello sir, how are you? I'm doing great, thank you. Barbara, Gamin, hi Liron, so you're Parisian today, yes. Christine Bourgeois, good morning. Mary C, hi from England. Rich G, good morning. Rich Goss from New York. Mary C sends a love from England. New Age Tech, hello from Dallas. John, hi Liron, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you, John. Nathalie Alibelli, bonjour de la cool. I don't know, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Hello from Germany, says System Feller 4711. Henny Shay, hi, how are you? Henny, did you see my email response? I wrote like a super detailed critique of the painting you sent me, which is beautiful. Let me know if you saw it. Hopefully I'm not confusing you with someone with a similar username here. Fatima say, hey, Lionel, that's a common typo. I'm from Brazil. Gelcha, good morning from Philly. Cubs win, good day from Texas. Great reference indeed. Susan has, hi from South Florida. Pence Palacio, hi everyone, sorry I wasn't able to hang out with y'all in last week's live. No worries, and I saw you send me a message. I will try and check it out later. Susan Hess seems very busy. This photo, yes, which is why we're going to simplify it. Jean Covelli, good morning from Long Island, New York. Barb White, hello from Lancaster, Ohio. 5026, Gurav Tada, hello from India. James L. Baker, hi Liron, greetings from London. G21, Kuma Watt, hello. Artology, sir, can I work with watercolor on 150 GSM paper? It is possible, yes. Tape it well, let it dry well. I think you can do it. It's not, maybe not going to be as comfortable, but it is possible. So let's get right to it. Because today's process is going to be a little different. Let me make the reference photo a little larger, and again, feel free to find it online using the link in the description box. My goal here is I'm not guaranteeing to finish this painting today. In fact, we're very likely to not finish it today. What I want to do is a little different this time. I want us to focus more on working slowly and really thinking things through and getting as far as we can. Okay, so I do promise to post an update in the next steps of this painting process, maybe as soon as I finish it and so on, but I do want to prioritize quality and speed over just finishing it, over giving you a performance, so to speak. So I'll try doing this a little closer to maybe what my process will look like had I painted just by myself in quiet, with no interruptions, without thinking about the fact that I'm filming and all of that. So I may talk less at some points. I do want to give you a more authentic view of that. What I can promise is that between layers, Whenever I get a break, I will read through the chat. I do want this to be interactive, but expect this one to maybe be a little quieter, which will be good for my voice too. Do I have my water here? Yes, that's good. Which will be good for my voice and also may allow me to create a better impression for you, okay? Now I do want this to be real time, and so I didn't draw anything. There's nothing on paper at the moment. I will do everything together with you. It may be a little slower. Again, if we're aiming for a higher level of accuracy, we'll take things slower. I may totally mess it up. I may get it right. But I do want to devote a little more time and a little more planning for this one. Okay, if that's something you're not as interested in, my apologies. It's not going to be so much about providing a finalized result, but rather about showing you what painting a little slower and a little more calculated looks like. I hope that makes sense. I hope you're doing well. And let's just go for it. So here's our reference photo. I'm going to make it huge for a moment. Hopefully you can see it well. We have a lot going on here. So my basic approach is going to be this. I'm going to observe the reference photo and figure out. One of the things you want to really pay attention to is, and this is something that I received a lot of emails on recently, in some of the questions that you sent me, you want to really figure out what you're going to paint in the first wash so that you can actually control it and what you're going to skip. Because a lot of people have this issue of not being able to tell what to leave as a highlight, what to paint over, how dark to go in the initial wash. These are all things I'll try and address today, okay? I want you to see the piece of paper. It's a little hard to tell, but it is larger than my usual live works. Usually I'll work half size. So this will allow me to have more details. It will allow me to get more accuracy in, especially when taking a few steps back from the painting, and hopefully it'll just provide for a better result, okay? But it does mean a longer process. I don't know how far we'll get into this one, but hopefully at least we get to a stage where things look cool, in a way, if that makes sense, okay? So this is what we'll aim for today. With that, let's get started. I'm gonna pick up just a normal pencil, normal everyday pencil. Let's make the reference photo smaller. I will try kind of occasionally observing the chat, seeing if there's anything interesting that requires addressing. Any interesting questions? Hey Daiji, hi my friend, how are you? Good morning. This is nice painting choice. I don't mind that you talk less. Going to be interesting how you actually work. Okay, yeah. So this is what I'll try and do. Now I'm actually not looking at the same screen as you. I'm going to look at the reference itself here. Now the way I see it, the composition is pretty much half and half. So we have half sky, half buildings. I will aim for a bit of a maybe higher degree of realism here. So what this means is I won't change much. I'll really keep this pretty much as it is. So this is half and half, so I'll find the approximate middle point here, like that. Middle point on the other side. Never measure like I do. It's really a bad way of measuring. Let's go a little. Let's do the extra mile. Now, I want to warn you, so this is 13.3 approximately centimeters. 13.3, so that's about here. I want to warn you, I had some camera issues earlier, so you'll have to forgive me if it happens again. Let's mark another spot with 13.3, just off the middle, just so that I have this general trend. Now, the paper may be like refocusing all the time because there isn't anything dark there, so you will forgive me if that's the case. But once I'll put in a few details, it will solve itself, hopefully. So, I'm just going to put in a very basic line that just connects the two ends, like that. And on top of that, we'll start dressing things up. So we have the Eiffel Tower here, which reaches about halfway, I will say, from top to bottom here to this line. So let's mark this spot, maybe bring it a little, you know what, so here's where I am going to make a change. I'll bring it a little closer to the center, just because why put it so off center? I don't know. It is a focal point to me. I want to make it a focal point. One of the main focal points is actually going to be the road here, just because it's so shiny and it's just so strong that you want to show that kind of a thing. Okay, now let me know if you can see me well, if you can hear me well. Just let me know in the chat. Hopefully, it's nothing I can't fix. So. Because I'm not seeing the screen as you are, I'm actually looking at this thing. So I'm going to put in some smaller details because I want this to be more detailed. So you'll really see me putting in those small details in. And what this will do is, a lot of times people have this issue with larger paintings that they feel empty. So I want to show you how, yes, it is important to sometimes put in more details in order for the painting to not feel empty, especially when you're doing these types of larger pieces, okay? Now this big building that's small but still pretty significant, I'm gonna place it kind of off center, so not center, a little to the left, okay? Now I don't have to be super accurate with these details because they're very much at the back. Perspective doesn't play as big of a role for these buildings, okay? By the way, from experience from previous live streams, my voice gets really burnt out, so I'll try talking slowly and less. Say more meaningful things for my own sake. So yeah, smaller details will give a sense of just more details within the work. Now let's finish the top half for a moment here. We have the sun. So I'm just gonna mark this circle. This is a danger zone. We aren't gonna get close to, and also here, to any of these areas. I know you can barely see it, but it is important for me to mark it because what's gonna be here is just a highlight, a huge highlight for the sun. This is part of what will provide that good sense of light and shadow, okay? I'll show you the technique soon. You will see the technique I use to do that. Now, a couple of really cool things. We have these clouds here that go in that direction. Thank you for the heart, Tarun. And Jonathan Way says, looking forward to what you'll make of the sky. Sky always feels empty for me because clouds are hard. Yeah, I get it. I'll try making something of it. No guarantees. I'll do my best. We'll really have to think every step here, think it through really well, okay? So the only thing that's allowed to cover this sun is these clouds, okay? A bunch of clouds. Make them random, so let me show you. I'm not stopping this cloud where this ends. I'm actually making it longer, making a couple of random patterns here. Keep things interesting, okay? So that's kind of our sky. And notice how, you will notice this, whenever you work like that a little slower, it is really a good encouragement for the next steps, because you feel like, I know some people are scared of ruining a good drawing, but for me, I find that a good drawing encourages me to treat the painting process with more respect, which is actually quite nice. Okay. Now I'm going all calculated, but I will show you in just a few moments how the first wash actually requires a lot of speed. Don't let that mistaken you, because I will need to use a lot of speed in just a few moments. Okay, let's tackle the Eiffel Tower itself. I marked the spot, I don't even remember where. Let's place it somewhere around. So these clouds are in the way. And we have a bunch of other clouds here. So let's put it here. Let's make it a little shorter, if you will. Reaching for the clouds. So what I like to do is draw a line. That's kind of the center of balance. Now on top of that line, I can base everything on. So first we have this tip. And you can sometimes use the pencil as kind of a brush. Treat it like painting. You see, I'm just creating the shape instead of drawing the outline. Sometimes you'll find that it's just a more convenient way of getting those details in. Now look at where it ends. It actually ends lower than the horizon line because it's there, it's here, it's closer to us, okay? And then we have this kind of an arch here and another arch there. I will soon look at some of the things you're writing just to make sure you see me well, it makes sense. Deborah says no video. Here well, like your camera said, refocuses. Okay, so let me know if you can see me because Deborah says no video, so I just want to make sure. Let me see if I have video on my end. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good, but let me know if it blanks out again or, you know. I hope we don't get more of these because like the camera just decided to disconnect on my Mac. I don't know why, a few times actually. It got me really worried. Then I started sweating. Deborah says, okay, now thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you for letting me know. If you have an issue again, please let me know. So this is kind of the shape of the tower. I don't want to get into too many details because again, it's quite in the distance. Now, when you have all of this, this is the big league. This is where most people lose it. Start with the general largest shapes. Now, what's the largest shape when you actually observe it? To me, that will be this entire block of buildings. So, it starts somewhere around off to the center, so a little left here. Continues all the way to here for perhaps. Then it goes down. Then it goes like that. And then it connects at a bit of a stronger angle. So let's make it a little more to the left. That's a block of buildings. Okay? Don't get caught up in all of the individual lines. Let me show you. Here's the farthest side. Here's the lowest side, which we can actually not see the bottom of. And then it goes like this. That's a full block. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. This is actually a full block of buildings. It has a lot of details within it. Don't let that, for now, stifle you. Don't let that overwhelm you. Okay, other side of the block, we see less of because the block is turned this way. So it's going to be a very thin slice. Now, we did make one mistake, which is this should be much wider. The front is wider. So perhaps let's go like this. Make this wider. Make this wider. And get this at a bit of a smaller angle. Now let me erase so you can see what I'm doing. Yusuf says, nice sketch, thank you. Pence Palacio says, that's a detailed sketch. Indeed, my friend. That's how you have to do it for these pieces. Again, and I hope today can be quality, okay? Quality over quantity, if you will, or just quality overall will allow you to see how I work these things in a bit of a more slow, calculated, accurate manner. That's one block. Let's look at another block. So we have another one here, kind of obstructing some of the view of the Eiffel Tower. And this one goes all the way almost to the corner, like that. The bottom is kind of like this, goes all the way down here, okay? I know it may look crazy right now, but trust me, this will connect, okay? If you wish me, that's a funny username. I don't know exactly understand what it means, but you say I can't draw a circle. So no worries, my friend, because you can learn how to draw circles. It's not as hard as you may think. So we're going to move with this last block right around here. See? And it comes from behind this one. Now don't worry, we'll get some details in the edges of the blocks. And it kind of fades to the left. This goes here. This goes like this. All the way down here. This building has this beautiful kind of corner like this one. I love that kind of a architecture and style. Go like this. Go like that. This should be at a smaller angle, more open. You could put any object, maybe a coin on paper to get a camera focus on paper. Well, I think it will work. Okay, let's do this. Thank you, Dip Krishan. That'll be good. So we'll do that. Let's get a coin. 1 sec. Tell me if that improves stuff. For anyone who's wondering, that's 10 agorot, like, which is our cent, basically. Now let me see the way I see it, make sure it makes sense. Yes, that's good. One thing I will make a change about is this, make it a little taller. I don't know why, it just looks like it should be. I'm looking now at the monitor and seeing everything kind of smaller, just to figure out how I want things to look. That's okay. A lot of it will make more sense once we put in the colors, so trust me on that one. Okay. Now, you see the tops of these blocks have a lot of details in them, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. Feel free to, again, save the reference photo and figure things out. Now, let me switch to a smaller pencil. Daniel says detailed buildings are supposed to simplify, right? Yeah, we'll probably simplify a lot of them. Well, let me show you how I turn this into actual tangible details. I'm going to create out of this mess a building, which is the building we see here on the edge. Okay, so something like that. I'm going to do my best. Again, the fact I'm recording is a bit of a distraction, but I believe the result will still be good. So that's the top. and we actually have this rooftop here. Now I'll try not to be tempted to put in details yet, but maybe just a little bit so that we see what's up, okay? So we have this kind of a structure on top, okay? And that's the edge building. I'm gonna open up a window, it's a little hot here, as always, whenever I do these lives. I hope it won't ruin the sound too bad. Sky, yeah. Cubswin asks about dividing the painting in two in terms of composition. My friend, don't worry about that. Pretty much every compositional rule can be broken and can work. The question is, what makes the painting interesting regardless of that half and half composition? Okay? That's all you need to worry about. It's not a rule set in stone. If you're gonna go for a half and half, make something else interesting in a different way. That's all there is to it, in my opinion. So that's another building. Slowly building it up again. Today we're gonna prioritize slow, careful measuring over quick. Because I could go real quick, draw in all the shapes, real abstract. I don't want to do it. Okay, I want to really build something here. So trust me on this one. Let's try and be a little more focused. If I mess it up, then we lost twice because it was slow, but also didn't get the result I wanted, but that's fine. So we see there are a bunch of small buildings here. This is where it gets pretty important to put some details in because, again, it's a large piece. You want to make sure you fill it up with enough detail. Now, this kind of a square goes to, or trapezoid shape gets crazy far back. So there's no way we can actually get all these shapes in. Okay, so don't worry about getting all of what you see in. What I'm going to do is do one building here, maybe another building there. This is where I kind of have to wing it and start drawing things my way, okay? And here I'm going to just put abstract highlights. So one highlight here, another one here, just a bunch of them, okay? Don't worry. It may not make sense to you right now, but I will explain exactly what I'm doing with these as I paint. Okay, I promise it will make much more sense later on. Okay, so we got mainly this center block done. So let me show you. Let's add a rooftop on the middle one as well, like this, like that. This goes away from us. This goes like that, like this. I'm actually considering doing a larger version of this one, so that could be a good preparation for that. We'll see how it goes. What you basically want to have is a couple of details to go off of. So right now I know that this stays as a highlight. I have that. I know that the top of this building will stay as a highlight too. You get something to work with, okay? Some kind of a three-dimensional shape that makes sense. Now we have the shadows cast by the buildings, kind of like that. And this goes like that. Savannah, how do you stop yourself from getting overwhelmed and not becoming chaotic anyway? Slowly, slowly and carefully, Savannah. Just you see, I'm working from larger shapes to smaller shapes. That's the only way to go, in my opinion. Now, this building goes like that, goes down like this. My perspective here is not perfect, so you will forgive me about that. I'm doing my best to also preserve some of the proportions of the painting, meaning putting the squares in the right areas. So yeah, you'll forgive me for that. We have another rooftop kind of on top of that. That's fascinating. I love rooftops of Paris. There's this book, really good art book. I believe it's called Rooftops of Paris, by this very famous guy that does a lot of urban sketches. You may want to check it out. We have another building off to the side here. It goes like that. And if you're just really looking forward to painting this, we're in the same boat. I'm really curious to see how this one will go, mainly because I have no idea. So we're in the same camp here. I'll do my best to provide something that's interesting, but you see, I think this makes a little sense. Let me see what you see here from afar. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, okay? This street should actually probably be narrower, so let me see. This should go here. this should go here, and then these should follow that shape. So I made a fix to the shape of the street. Why? Because look at these two corners. They should be in this kind of a line. I see that connection there. Mine was here at a diagonal. That was not good. Let's get a few details here on the road. Okay? So let's do this. Let's get some nice little trees of Bob Ross. I'm gonna put in, you see there's a bunch of these trees in kind of a boulevard thing. I don't know if it's a boulevard, it's just trees in between the lanes, I think. So it's important to mark that. No need for too many details yet. And there's another one of these here on the other side that goes like this. And then trees coming out of it. And all of these trees cast a nice little shadow in that direction. See this? I hope that makes sense. There are cars. Let me zoom in so I can get a few of these. You see very little of the top side, and then a little more of the bottom side and the shadow. I know you can't see much. That's exactly the goal here. It's going to be a relatively small painting. Now I also think there's a bit of snow on the road, or it's just the sunlight and the way it hits. Another car here, a little larger. And the cars here are highly simplified, okay? I will show you what I mean. A car in this painting is simply a rooftop. The front, the side you can barely see, and then a cast shadow. The front here you can also barely see, but it's hidden somewhere here, you see? So that's what you get for a car. That's a car. That's a car for you. That's the basic structure. By the way, I drew this on the apex side of this manga page. I'll show you later on if you want to see it. Okay, another car. Let's put in another car here. Can you see my phone notifications? No, good. It's right off to the side here, and I don't know what I'll get. I don't know what messages, private stuff. So here we go, another car. There's a car coming out of a parking space, I think, so we'll put that in. It doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to be there so we remember to do it. Now you see the bus right at the bottom, there's a bus here. Let's get that in. That's a nice little shiny bus. Kind of like that, kind of rounded for a bus, but still should be a little longer. And a nice little cast shadow here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me see what you're writing in the chat. Take a really quick break. Be a little interactive. I hope so far it makes sense. Large, small. Okay, take your time with that. Let's see here. Artology is a play of gray and blue and black. Yeah, and a bit of yellow too. Very muted Artology. Raoul Campbell, please make paintings on Indian stuff. Landscapes and monuments that are beautiful. They are. I may do something like that in the future. By the way, 116 people in the house. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. You make what I do possible. Thank you for that. If you don't mind to drop a like on this live stream, it helps it reach more people. And it just pushes it later on in views. So thank you so much for that. And let's see. Handy shade. Yeah, you're on same handy. And fabulous advice on your email. Thanks. Sent a response earlier today. Thank you so much for that. Savannah. Getting overwhelmed. Yeah, large to small, slowly. Learn perspective in vacuum. Learn how cubes look from different directions. This is just a trapezoid shape. I can probably show you, like, here's what it looks like from our angle, right? And I could probably, wait, this should be like this, longer, closer to us. And I could probably draw it from imagination. So what do you want to see? Do you want to rotate it maybe to the right? So you'll get something like this. Maybe something like that. See? Well, you'll see it more. See? I rotated it. You want to go move it, tilt it upwards. So you'll get something like this maybe. Seeing more of the front. Maybe a little more of the side here. See? These are the types of things you have to learn. Manipulate them in space. It takes practice. If you start with this, you won't be able to do it. If you want to start just Impressionism and just draw it as you see it, that's a big part of what I do. I do believe in that. but start simple, okay? I hope that helps Savannah. Zaid says, did you say anything important? I missed about half an hour. Nothing of importance here. No, a few things, but you'll complete them later on. The Marylander. What is your favorite limited palette? There's a bunch of them. It's hard to say, but I love Yellow Ochre, I love French Ultramarine, I love Quinacridone Rose. Fatima said, please sir, can you take legends in English in this video? I'm from Brazil and my English is not fluent. Do you mean like the captions? Subtitles? YouTube should create ones automatically. I hope it will. For all my videos it does. I hope for the live ones too. I don't remember. I believe I checked and it does. Marjorie Johnson, upstate New York here, finally worm farm fed, Shelty fed. Not a subject matter I would ever paint, but I'm sure I will learn something about the process. Thank you. Yeah, I know a lot of people are tired with cityscapes. I'll do some landscapes soon, I promise. I know a lot of people are sick of those. Kimberly Hilton. Oh yeah, Savannah says, the mind of watercolor. Yes, Steve has a lot of landscapes. Indeed. Kimberly Hilton Studio, good morning everyone. So happy to be here watching with you all. Liron's an incredible sky. I love dynamic sky paintings. Indeed. Let's see what else. This is looking great, Liron. Thank you, John. Please make Indian stuff. Watch Mind of Watercolor. I just like Liron's approach. Thank you, Marjorie. Are these watercolor? Are you talking about these? They are a watercolor. It looks so shiny. Please, sir, can you leave English subtitles? Oh, yeah, okay. I believe it should. Let me check that later on. Hopefully it will. Pencil, any chance trying core watercolors? They are runny paints, though. Haven't tried them. Maybe in the future, hopefully. Joaquin Elizalde. Hi, Liron. I just got here. Joaquin from Argentina. Thanks for the live. Thank you so much. Are you planning on leaving the sun unpainted, Liron? Says ANJ510. Yes, I am. Random Rain, your work inspires me to draw cityscapes myself. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear. Dimas Risky, I can't read that, sorry. Piccolina, hi from Italy. Joanne Johnson, hello. Piccolina, I was waiting for you. Thank you. Zaitakur, love your technique, but then a good artist learns from various artists. Can you name what other watercolor artists you watch with full-length stuff like yourself? Misulbu, the portrait guy, but not many, honestly. Like full portraits, not many artists. Recently, it's Korean artists, Chinese artists, people that... Misolbo is a good place to start, that have the technique down, like, to the T. It's crazy. Alex Hilkerts, yes, Hanny, I know his work, he's really good. Hey, Fatin Alicia, what color palette are you using today? Kimberly Hilton Studio asks, and with that, we'll continue. This is the Roman Small paints. I've shown these, I believe, in a couple of places, actually, but this is what it looks like. I was sent these and they're great quality paints. They feel very professional grade, very saturated, easy to wet. Just really good paints overall that I would highly recommend. It's an artist. Roman he's an artist and he also makes his own paints really good. A person who works with him, if you're here by chance or you're watching this, let me know, because I tried finding you on Instagram again and I couldn't. Sorry about that. Just usernames are so confusing. I actually remember your name. I'll find the email. That's what I'll do. But in any case, yeah, someone who works with him sent me these. And the second one, by the way, I know we never talked about it, but it got lost, I guess, in the mail because I never got it. I think we talked about it. So sorry about that. But these are great. I'm going to use them a lot now. So yeah. Left side, I know it's a big mess. I'm going to stop here. This is not going to be hyper realistic. It is going to aspire to be a little more realistic than usual, yes, but there's no need to, for this size and for actually when filming, I'll keep things fairly simplified in these farther regions, okay? Now look at all of the background. There are quite a lot of highlights. For example, if you look at this building to its right, here it's different because I set things differently, but I'm just going to put in a couple of these and hopefully I'll remember to address them, okay? And we'll soon get to painting this. Okay, we're almost done with the drawing stage, with the sketching stage. I know a lot of people are going to wonder, how the hell am I going to paint this? What the first wash is going to look like? How is it not going to be a mess? Trust me, you want to stay tuned in because I will show you all of that, okay? Now let's move on to the right section. We have a little bit of an easier time here because we actually see the building. So that's 1, That's another one that's closer, following the same perspective here. I love these rooftops that have this diagonal shape here. I love this thing. Love it. It's so fun seeing like parkour videos in Paris with these rooftops. Just such a beautiful design. Probably one of my favorite architectures in the world, Paris. I'm pretty sure I can say that confidently. Can't think of anything like maybe Italy kind of thing. Florence, Rome has, no, Rome is more monuments, large monuments. If there's anything, it has to be Paris really in regard to the architecture. So yeah, here we go. All of this is in the shadow, so I'm not going to put in too many details here. I do see that this has to continue beyond the Eiffel Tower, so let's put another building here. Kind of like that. Kind of winging it, but that's fine. There is a bit of sunlight coming through the buildings, but do I want to show that? Probably not. Let's put in a few lines there. We'll decide later on if we want to leave a couple of highlights there. And I believe with that, we're pretty much done. One more thing. I'm not going to put in the windows and all of these details. We don't need them now. What we do need is details that will affect the light and shadow. And one of those details is, look at these here. Up on the rooftop, there are a bunch of chimneys, a bunch of different elements on the roof. And why are they important? Because they cast these lovely shadows. See? So you may want to put these in, at least some, in some spots. So here we go, like that. Like this. There are some really neat rooftops here that I hope I can capture. Let's see. Like that. Don't worry, the first wash is going to be simple, I promise. The first wash is not going to be hard. I know it looks endlessly difficult. It won't be, trust me. Okay. Let's get rid of some of these lines we don't need anymore. Like that. Bottoms of the buildings. There are a bunch of trees here in the foreground. Now for the trees, because it's just foliage, I'm highly simplifying them. See, just a big mess. There are a lot of cars parked here, so I'm just going to put an indication for myself, okay? So that I remember that there are tons of cars here. This is where I am, yes, I am simplifying a bit. I'm not going to draw every individual car, that's insanity. Bit of cars here, parked, just like squares. Basically, you see I'm just moving my pencil, putting in random shapes and squares. And let's zoom out a bit and see what we got. So I think we're ready to paint this. I honestly think this is enough. Let's see if we're missing anything. There are a couple of important highlights here, and this should actually be larger. Let's make this larger. A couple of, you know, chimneys here that cast these lovely shadows right through here. A bunch of stuff here. We'll wing it. We'll wing these stuff. Okay. Now there was this. Okay, yeah, this is a beautiful building. I don't want to give up on that shape, so we go like this. We go like that. We go like this, and we get its corner in like that. It's just so nice that I want to keep it. So top. You know it's a little messy. Bear with me. And yes, I'll probably be the person that understands best what I did here, admittedly, but hopefully it will make sense. Okay, we're done. I think we're done officially. For now, with the details, there is an awning here. Let's put it in. It's so nice looking, really. And then it casts this nice little dark, rich shadow. Same here. We have a bunch of trees. I'm saying we're done, and then I keep adding stuff. Sorry about that. I know it annoys some people. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Whew. Cynthia Zeke. Good morning, 8 a.m. here from Madison, Wisconsin. I got to meet Roman Small in Amsterdam 2019 in the USK Symphony. I love his, Symposium, yeah. His paints and his brushes too, wonderful. Billy Armstrong, watching you sketch out a painting is helpful to me. I'm happy to hear, because probably sketching is going to be a big part of this. We're 40 minutes in, and that's the main thing here. That is not art. That is art. Not. I guess there is water on the watercolor paints. That's why they look shiny. Okay, never mind, got it. So I don't know if you're talking about these. There isn't water. It's actually dry. The thing is, these paints remind me a bit of M. Graham's. And Cynthia, let me know if you agree. They re-wet very easily, and they stay pretty moist and sticky, which is why they appear shiny. There actually is no water on them currently. Nothing. So yeah, I know. Now, look at my palette. All I have is just one mixing area. And this will hopefully be a lesson to many people. The mixing area, I actually want the paints to mix together. I want my blue to have a bit of red and yellow. I want my yellow to have a bit of red and blue. I want my blue to have a bit of blue and yellow. Okay? I want it to be organic. So what I'm going to do is add paints to this section, and every time there will be one dominant color, but still very organically mixed with the rest. Okay? You will see this in action, I promise. This is how you avoid, and by the way, Hani, this was one of the points of feedback I gave you, and you probably remember, using very saturated colors always can detract from some sense of, Hani had an amazing painting. Like, she matched the colors, I assume you're she, so let me know if I'm wrong. I'll say they, match the colors so well that it's just so good. The one thing I would change is some areas are a little strongly, are a little pure, too pure. So a lot of pure orange, a lot of pure green, a lot of pure yellow. And you want, in order for it to feel more natural and more organic, you want to mix the rest of the primary colors. Why? Because in nature, it's very rare to see one paint, one color stand alone. It's for artificial things like this palette knife that's painted orange. Okay, it's for things like this sharpener that's blue. You won't see these things in nature almost at all. Look at the reference photo. Find me a super clean and saturated color. There are none, especially for these more complex. Yeah, thank you, Eddie. Okay, I got it wrong. I got it right. Especially for these more against the light scenes. Yes, it's very rare to find a pure color. Okay, I hope you're enjoying this live stream so far. Let me know if you want me to change some things for next time. I'm going a little slower again, trying to prioritize the quality of information over quantity and speed. Okay, nothing wrong with speed. Sometimes it's nice to go a little slower. So, and then you deserve it. This painting is so good. I'll tell you, I saved it to my desktop on my Mac, and looking at the thumbnail of the painting and reference photo next to one another, they were so similar. I looked at them and I'm like, that's so good. I might have been fooled if someone would tell me which one is the painting, which one is the reference photo. It might have thrown me off, so really good job. So now I'm going to start mixing that organic color I told you about. Let's tape the palette. It moves a bit and I don't want it to move. And thank you so much, that is art, not... oh, you told me your name and I forgot, so you need to remind me. I said I'll forget, so let me know again. I'll call you by your name. And by the way, I wanted to say I cleaned my water bucket. Believe it or not, the water bucket is really almost fully clean. So replace the water. And yes, Cynthia agrees with me. They re-wet very easily and are so rich and vibrant. I got the set of 5 in Amsterdam. Yeah, that's so cool. So let's move this away. Go tuck under here. Okay, let's start. Now, where is the danger zone? Where the sun is. So here's what we're going to do. And here's a trick for you. If you want to avoid this area but still have a gradual transition into the light, you put pure water here, and then you put next to it colors, and you stop here. So they will blend together, but you still will keep this area light. Okay? That's how you do it. And then what I plan on doing, because this is a very complex painting, I'm going to pull a wash all the way from top to bottom. It's going to cover everything but the sun, and it's even going to cover all of the details down below. All of the highlights you see here are all going to be covered by this underpainting. Why? Because there's no way I'll start painting around them. No way. Okay? So what I'll do to negate that, I'll work very light, very transparent, so that later on, once I pull out these highlights, they will still be very shiny. Okay? I hope that makes sense. We'll get to it, and hopefully it will make more sense. So, I'm going to zoom out a bit. let's start with our plan. And I know a lot of people feel overwhelmed by this kind of a reference photo. Yes, it is messy. Yes, there's a lot going on. And here's the tip I'll give many of you, and also I gave recently to someone via email. Trust the process, and with every step, work on that step. Don't be in a hurry to jump to the next step. Every step has its place. You don't have to worry about the future until you get there. Let's get this first wash out of the way. Let's get some nice details going. Let's skip the sun, keep it very light, and things will work out. Okay? That's the whole point here. Now, yes, this is green. Let me add a bit more blue and a bit more red, just to neutralize it a bit. We'll start with something gray, and take your time. Mix as much as long as you need to get to the result you want. Okay? There's no hurry. And I'll show you what I'm doing. Once I'm done mixing here, and this is again a little larger, I'm using my larger Raphael kind of a, I don't know what this brush is. It's a big brush. Let's add a bit of red yet again. So I need to mix enough, okay? But it's still a fairly light wash, so not too much. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to clean up my brush because I need it to be clean. Let's see if it's clean. That's pretty clean. Good. Let's see if I can get it to be really clean. Okay, that's close enough. And I'm going to go over this area. As I said, pre-wetting, okay? Pre-wetting this area, especially where the sun is, okay? And let me show you the sheen. Let's move this away. It's gonna flow all over the table, that's fine. You see? Very, very wet paint. And I'm wetting the sides too, but the key here is to wet the sun, okay? That's the key. Make sure it's thoroughly wet, and then start bringing in the paint. So, I'll start putting it through here, okay? Like this. And avoiding the sun as much as I can, okay? So I'll avoid it, and I got a few splashes on it. That's fine. It's gonna dry super light still. Let's try and get rid of that. Okay, yep, that's nice. That's really nice. Got a major blooper here, but that's gonna be fun. I'm thinking about how to get rid of that. Let's see here. That's good. That's good. Okay, we'll move this aside, and we're good to go. Now let's continue with the blue. For the clouds, I wouldn't worry too much because it's still a fairly light wash. So I'm actually going to paint over everything. I know some people asked about the clouds. I could do something with them. For now, I won't. Okay? I may do something later on. Because it's such a thin wash anyway. There we go. Doing it carefully, okay? I'm carefully working my way around the sunny area. These areas are also quite light, okay? So you want to really pay attention there, the sides. Like that. Good. I think that actually works. Now, do we want to go darker on the sides? Yes, probably we do. And notice how it's stronger, purer blue too. I don't have to have it pure. Let's add a bit of other colors just to keep it kind of varied. A bit of, this is yellow, believe it or not. So this will hopefully produce a bit of a darker blue. Like this. And now I can actually paint around some of the clouds here, you see? I like this. Leave this maybe as a cloud. Now, here's the key. We're getting to the bottom. We need to start lightening things up. So I'm going to switch, do a quick turn. Let's do this. Let's take a bit of paper towel. Let's get rid of this because there's a lot of paint to overpower here with the yellow. So we'll save some time and we'll get the yellow we need. Good, okay, I was afraid that for a moment there the camera stopped working. Here we go. We need warmth, okay? Ruth came to visit, but it's not the best timing. So here we go. Super light, okay? Because now we're getting to some highlights. So I want to make sure that they'll still appear as highlights in the next washes. Okay? Here we go. Now don't worry, again, if this isn't like the perfect wash and we messed some things up, we can still fix pretty much everything in the next stages, okay? So don't go perfectionistic now. It's fine. See this nice transition from cool sky to warmth of the buildings? One thing you do want to pay attention to is the roads themselves are very light. So I'm just using some water to move this around, just with water, okay? Let's get some more water here. Keep this fairly wet, wetter than the areas here around it. This is a very ambitious, here I add a bit more red. Because I like when there's blue, red, and yellow too. That's the only reason, really. I like warmth in the lower sections of the painting. You don't have to. But this wash, pretty much anyone can do. Okay, you just wet this area, work around it, get to the bottom, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Even these areas, again, the roofs are going to have this lovely yellow tint to them because we used an underpainting for that. Now, here's where you don't want to go too detailed, or you don't want to go back on too many areas and get backgrounds and stuff like that. So I'll just go very lightly over some sections here, bring out some warmth in them. I don't know why I choose the sides because it looks good. And this wash is done. Okay, now if you have any questions, let me know. I will dry this. We will call Ruth and have her visit. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. רוצה להביא אותה? מה זה? Okay. ברגע שאת מוכנה. So, if you have any questions, again, let me know. Now is a good time, and it's time for visit from Ruth the Almighty. Now it's a bit rainy today, so she's a little more cuddly than usual. Tada. So you can say hi while the paint dries. Now she wants to go. Say hi and go. No. We tried. No, anymore. Okay. So now if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try addressing them. So here's the thing. Let me show you the sheen, okay? See? This says don't mess with me. It's almost dry. Don't mess with me. I don't want to. Let me get my headphones. If I try to do something here, it's going to be really bad. Okay, just letting you know. It is a sheen, but see how it starts? You can see the texture. Okay? That's not good. Now, I want to make sure we don't get any background. So I'm going to mute you. I'm going to dry this with my hairdryer. Ask your questions if you have any, and then we can proceed to the next steps. Okay, so I see we have a bunch of questions. We'll go over them real quick. Some of these, I don't always have a good answer, so maybe some of these is just because I felt like it. But let's see what we have here. Um, so, yeah. Cynthia agrees about the Roman small paints. We have Jung Hewitt sending a smiley. Hey, I hope you're doing well. Ray reminded me that the name is Ray. No worries. Thank you for that. I haven't done watercolor really much at all before, just a bit of graphite. Shaky's channel. This is going to look beautiful, I can tell. I hope so. There's no way of knowing. Okay, what colors are you using today? So this palette for blue, it's an ultramarine, I believe. So it's a PB29, actually. So I believe that's French ultramarine, right? Let me know. And then for the red, we have, this is an interesting one, I think. Yeah, so for the red, actually, I don't have the name of it because I lost it, but the number is 323. Huh. 323, like the catalog number. I know that's not helpful. But if you ask me, it's kind of between a quinacridone and it's a fairly, it is warm, but it's kind of neutral warm, I will say. And it's very strong. Let me show you what it looks like so that at least you can get a similar one if you want to. The camera does show the paints pretty correctly today for some reason, so the red is this. It's a really, really nice one. It's warm. Very, very nice. Not really quinacridone, I would say. It's a really nice red. So yeah. So, and the yellow, forgot to say, the yellow is PY 150. What's PY 150? I think it's kind of a nickel azo yellow, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's nickel azo, I believe. So these are the main ones. I also have here this kind of a red ochre, a green, and a purple. I don't think I'll be using them too much today, to be honest with you. We'll see. Next. Creative Indonesia. Thank you from Indonesia. Thank you so much. Venita Kinney, hello. Pranya Pandai, I watched your video first time. Welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. I love lemons. It's great, I guess. You guess? Okay, I hope it is gonna be at least great. Isabel Wittich, thank you so much for your amazing streams. I love it so much. Thank you. AO infused in water. Hello from France. Painting your hometown. Cynthia Zeke, watercolors are, oh yeah, encouragement for Ray to try watercolor. Marjorie Johnson, darn it, get my groceries delivered on Thursday morning. Yeah, you didn't miss too much, don't worry about it. Groceries are important. Christine Bourgeois, everyone, and Ray and Domo and Caroline Nixon. Everyone loves Ruth. Marjorie, I am planning on a painting of Ruth. It's gonna come soon, okay? It's gonna be detailed and very careful, kind of similar to my self-portrait. Mark says Ruth, Cynthia, such a cutie, those ears. Diana Marcela Rodriguez Gomez says hearts and Ruth. Mark says Ruth is not interested in being an internet star, that's for sure. Prafula Shukla, how do you choose colors? Photo has different colors. Thanks, Sunday Painter. Yes, it does have different colors. I would say the blue in the reference photo is a little more indigo, perhaps. Yellows are pretty muted. The way I do it right now, it just doesn't matter as much because this is a very unsaturated kind of scene. It's very gray-based. To me, it's more important that the colors work together well rather than being a perfect match with the reference photo. I hope that makes sense. I'm actually not sure what I'll do with the sky, to be honest with you. I'll have to do a few more steps down below and then I'll decide. These will definitely get darker, these clouds. But to be honest with you, I don't have a full plan for them yet. This is my focal point. This is where I want to keep most accuracy here. Skies it can be a challenge, to tell you the truth. I need to practice my cloud technique, cloud rendering and stuff like that. I just didn't really feel like leaving any paper white for this one, so no paper white here. Now it's almost fully dry. I stopped before it was completely dry, just saying. And by the way, based on the time this takes, I think what we'll be able to do today is get another wash in and that's it. So we're gonna get a wash with most of the details. It's the dreaded second wash. A lot of people are scared of it. Stay tuned. It will make sense. It's not going to be an easy wash. The next wash isn't easy, but I think it will look really nice. So, John says, this is so cute. Carolyn Nixon, I know in my head not to overwork, but can't seem to help myself. Very common issue. Start small. Work on simpler subjects. Don't do this. For first painting, it's tough. Try working on a single subject, like an apple or like still life arrangement. They're very good for these kinds of things. Don't go crazy like this. This is pretty insane. I also have to once in a while, or once in a short while, go for something simpler because this isn't easy, okay? But yeah, best advice I can give at the moment. Yeah, Ruth knows when I'm doing live, John. Domo, from this point on, will your washes only get thicker? Would you ever use a very thin wash at a late stage of the painting? Yes, definitely. The next wash will start pretty thin, probably similar to this wash. Maybe a little bit darker, but similar. Because remember, right now we're glazing on top. So we already have one layer, and now the next layer will have some more darkness built into it. Okay? So the answer is yes, I will. It's a great question. It's a great question. It's something I know a lot of people aren't sure about. It's not always going from a light wash to a slightly thicker wash to a thicker wash to a dark black wash. Not necessarily at all. The process is very varied. Sometimes you'll notice an area you missed, and you'll want to add to that some kind of a mid-value. Sometimes you'll just want to go a little darker, and you'll use a very thin wash. So yeah, it's not a linear process in that regard. My cat loves to lay on my art while doing it, so I cannot do watercolors unless I want to color my cat. Yeah, right, that's funny. Cats are like that. Donna Bullman, I'm late. Good morning. Good morning, Donna. Thank you for always being here. I really appreciate it. Prince Palacio, does Raman Small Yellow Ochre use PY43 and PY1? It's not yellow ochre. It's kind of a nickel azo yellow. It's only pigment yellow 150. That's the only one. I hope that answers your question, Prince Palacio. Cynthia, so what? Oh, okay, that's a conversation. David, did you notice a great difference between Daniel Smith and other watercolor like Sennelier and others? Yes, every brand will have its certain characteristic things that characterize it. It's really hard to hi Ruth, bye Ruth. It's really hard to point at a specific thing, but yes, I do notice that. Zaid Thakur, you talked about portrait artists. Any landscape ones other than the famous ones? Landscape artists. I can give you a great one for interiors. That is Marc Folly, a French artist, by the way. You can search for Marc, M-A-R-C, Folly, F-O-L-L-Y. You will find a Painting Masters episode on this artist. He's incredible for interiors. Alison Cheng, meow. Ratul's Art, hi sir, how are you? I'm great, thank you. Kabzawin, do you prefer Escoda Ultimo or Escoda Perla or Escoda Versatile Brush best? I don't have a preference, they're all good. I just use them based on their size for the most part. Perlas do get a really nice tip that actually preserves itself really well, the white brushes. They're going to be white for just one use, then they're going to be tinted. I do love that about them, for sure. Tazim Halim, I'd like to see you paint flowers. That'll be interesting. I'll try doing maybe a live stream on flowers. Let's do that. Let's schedule it next week. I'll write it down for myself so that I remember. If it's a good idea, no reason for me not to write it down immediately. So thank you for that. Let's go here. Selfishly. And write down, mid-live stream, what I have to do. So this is going to be flowers. Painting, come on, painting flowers live. Great, we got it. I'll remember. I'll do that. That's always fun. And Profula Shukla says, thanks. Domo, thank you so much. Makes sense. Pence Palacio, future collabs with portrait artists in YouTube. We'll see about that. Thank you, Tazim. Thank you. So let's continue. Let me maybe go one more step and dry this a little more, okay? I'm going to mute myself for just one quick second. Let's get this final stretch dry and then we'll continue. Now, this wash isn't perfect in any way. Like when I look at a reference photo, I actually like the fact that this area is a little more yellow, and with my painting it's just blue. So there are a lot of things here that I'm not necessarily fully happy with, but again, we'll see this as perhaps a preparation for an even more accurate painting. Do a couple of paintings of the same scene. Don't worry about that. You won't get things right the first time. Okay, so I definitely make a lot of mistakes. I would really have preferred if I'd noticed earlier and put a lot of yellow higher. Okay, just letting you know, keeping it transparent. So next wash, the dreadful second wash. This is where it's going to get a little more complex. Now, let me make the photo larger and let's discuss this. We have time. Again, my goal here is not to produce a finished painting to your chagrin. It's just to provide you with something useful. So if you look at this area here, you can't see because I put this very large. Let's just put it over myself for a moment here. Let's put myself here. Let's put this here. If you look at this area, it's a gray. It's kind of a neutral gray. Has a bit of warmth, has a bit of cool to it, but it's a gray. Now, what I want to do is start from these buildings and this line, hold that line and move down with it. Skip all of these small highlights that I said I'll skip from earlier. While I'm doing this wash, putting in those buildings, the Eiffel Tower, a little darker, because if you look at them, they're a little darker. Like this is a little darker than this, and even this is a little darker than this, and these are a little darker than this. So that's going to be our path. It's not going to be easy. I can't deny it. This is going to be a challenging wash. The one thing you can do, and I think I will do, is I'm going to stop it around here to give myself a break coming onto these buildings. Now, what's going to be our excuse to stopping the wash here? That there are going to be some highlights, okay? And then we can stop at these highlights. And we'll stop it probably around here. I don't guarantee it. I may decide spontaneously to continue. Actually, looking at this, I think I will. I may decide that. Whew, that's a rough one. Okay, it feels good to admit it to you. That's a really tough wash. So yeah. To be honest with you, my goal with this wash is to do two things. Just two. To cover everything that is not a highlight. Everything you see here that is not a highlight will be covered. That's one. Two, to put in some wet and wets in areas that need to be darker. That's it. That's my entire goal. You could add to that, skip the highlights. So let's be very organized here for a moment. Let's write it down. Let's write it down. One, cover everything. Yeah, I said it twice. Cover everything but the highlights. Two, oh, this is a little wet still. Two, wet and wet, wet for darker spots. Okay, these are my only two goals here. I'm going to leave this in plain sight here so that we remember. Because we can look at this and tell ourselves, oh, it's a nightmare, we'll never be able to do it. Or we can see it for what it truly is. Just a wash covering everything but the highlights and going a little wet and wet for the darker sections. Okay, I hope that makes sense. John, Liron, if the street, road, or building were wet because of rain, how would that be conveyed? Example, light glazing, if so, what colors would you use? It's a good question, John. I actually think it would look similar because we have such a strong sunlight here that you'll probably just see this super light because it will reflect the sky. That's what I think will happen. I may be mistaken, but I think it's going to be fairly close. Snow would change the picture a bit, maybe for the buildings. But yeah, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. Are you ready? Challenging wash. Very challenging wash. What I think I'll do is maybe increase the angle even. Just a bit. The angle right now is about 10 degrees. I'm going to add another roll of masking tape. Make it a little steeper. We'll put this here. You know what? We can make it larger because we're not going to touch the upper area. We're just going to do the buildings and this section. And if you're ready to go, we can go for it. It's going to be a little crazy. Yes, this wash is going to get crazy. I'm going to use this brush because I need a brush with a good tip. I'm not going to use this brush because I have no chance of putting things in the right place. And I lost my brush for a moment there. And let's make it smaller. Come on, this is crazy. It's way too much. Okay. That's really nice. That's a beautiful scene. This is going to be fun. Okay. And I'm not going to use this brush because that's a super duper fat mop. I don't have a good tip here. So I'll use this one, size 16, Escoda. What is this? Barocco, yeah. Now here's the key. You want to mix so much paint for this stage. So much paint. So I'm just going to go for it. A lot of paint. We need a lot of paint. Whatever you think we need more than that. I cannot stress that enough, okay? You know it may sound crazy, but we need a lot. And look at what I'm doing here. Blue, pushing it towards gray, but I need more paint to make it darker, to make a larger quantity, so I'll use red. Kind of purpley, use yellow, orangey, and I'm just playing around with these colors all the time. I'm adding more and more and more and more and more and more, okay? Still pens with another account. I'm painting and filling up my sketchbook right now. That's cool. And again, if this looks crazy to you, which it may very well look crazy, don't worry about it. That's a very complex scene. That is a very complex scene. Start with something easier, okay? You don't have to tackle these crazy references first. Actually, I recommend against it. But I am giving you a demo and a window to my process because I'm painting a lot of these scenes, so I want to show you. Now let's see what we got here. I think this will be a little too dark. Yeah, that I like what it looks like in terms of the hue. Actually, it's pretty close. This is pretty close. Let's add a bit more water to it, get better flow. And I don't know if you can see, but well, let me show you the sheen because this is really important. Oopsie doopsie, that wasn't good. See? Really wet, okay? I really am trying to show you this more and more so you can really see it for what it is. Now in terms of temperature, I'm going to keep this one fairly cool. Even though it has this warm haze over it. You know what? Let me think about it. Let me match the color in Photoshop. Let me cheat a little just to get a very initial kind of impression of the color. Let's see what we have here, what we're up against. I don't usually do this. To be honest, I should do it more. You know, we have a very neutral gray here. We have a very neutral gray. Has some areas of warmth, but to be honest, that's a very neutral gray. So this is what I'm going to go for. So this is a little too warm. Let's add a bit more blue. Like this. And I know it looks crazy. Do we really need this much paint? Yes, the answer is yes, we do. Okay. We're good to go. Now I'm going to get started from this line. And let's see how we do. This is the moment. Start small. Don't go crazy immediately. And really take your time with these small details. Okay, this is too dark. I'm going to add more water. This is too dark. Not good. Initially it looked just the right value. It wasn't. It wasn't. I'm gonna make it a little lighter. Now while I'm doing this, the one thing I am concerned with is the highlights, okay? Now if you're scared for these kinds of washes, don't worry. I'm scared too. I'm just not gonna let that stop me from tackling them, okay? So a lot of random highlights. I'm just gonna leave here and there. And you can actually work from left to right here really well. Let's do that. Wasn't expecting it to feel this good, but let's go like this. Here we go. Now it's good that we mixed a lot of paint, because what this will do, and I think it's still a little too dark. Okay, we'll make it lighter as we get to the center, because it actually goes lighter there. Like this. I was going to start saying something, but I don't remember now. Just keeping these details kind of random as I can. And here we get to a building that should be a little darker. So let me go ahead and get it a little darker using a second brush here. This. Let's see what we can do here. See? Like that, helping the paint move just to get it a little darker. May not be enough, I don't know. I'm gonna stop here because there's no way I can maintain this big of a wash. So just letting you know. Now there are a bunch of highlights right here in the center, so let's try and get something real random. So this wash ended up being, on the one hand, harder than expected, but on the other hand, easier. Easier because, I don't know, it just fell into place and I had a good stopping point. Harder because I am trying to have everything in mind, like the edges, where I stop it, but also, I don't know, it's hard to verbalize. Let's continue this thing here and this thing there. Good. Now I'm going to do this thing. Like that. I'm going to give it some more flow here with the water sprayer, because we need this time to work on our Eiffel Tower. So I'm mixing kind of again, another neutral, maybe a little cool mix. And I'll just start. We'll see how it goes. Oops, touched it accidentally. That happens. See, I have to continue getting it all the way down before the wash below dries. Why? So that I can keep it merged with the rest and look beautiful and kind of blurry in a way. Almost an inherent part of the lower section, you see? Let me show you. Thick, thick, and then around that we have all the metal, small metal details. For that I'll use a bit of a smaller brush here. Something like this. And we got a good stopping point. That's fine. I'm actually okay with it. Can't talk too much, unfortunately. Can't really think when I'm this focused. But hopefully that makes sense as the tower. Use a bit thicker paint to connect it to the bottom here, like this, just to make sure that it actually stays where I want it to be. And I think this last brush mark did the trick. Like this. Yep. And we can go back to the rest of the wash, which is pretty much dry edges now. Actually, that's good. That's good. That's interesting. I don't know exactly what I think of it yet. Let's look at them together. Let me see here. I think that'll work. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So now we have to start thinking about the washes that are closer to us. Okay. Now the reason I could stop again is that we're going to have some highlights here. Just like this highlight and all of these small highlights. We're going to have a bit of a highlight here. I wasn't planning on stopping, but it actually works out okay, so that's good. Let's look at the buildings here. Okay, so this is where you really need the highlights to actually tell a story. And that's my main concern with the next parts. Now, I'm tempted to go very abstract, but I don't want to do that. I actually want to take it a little slower. What I really like is this area of the edges of the buildings. Okay, we have a spamming here. Let's get rid of the spammer. I should have moderators now, but let's do this. Hide user. Good. User messages will be hidden. Yeah, that's good. Okay. We have another spammer. Let me know. Sorry, it took me a long time to get there. Yeah. Okay, we're good. Now I see that the connection isn't perfect, but hopefully it won't hurt the live stream too much. What about the orange in the sky? So I'm not, oh, you mean this? Yeah, as I said, I regret not leaving it a little yellower and oranger. That's my problem. That's a mistake. But there's not much you can do about it now. So here's what I'm going to try and do. We're going to start with the left section here and build it up all the way to the edge while maintaining the highlights that we see. Now, to me personally, I'm not going to lie, there isn't really a good way to show exactly where the highlights are unless you want to actually draw them in. Like showing that there's highlights here, and highlights here, and highlights on the rooftops. I find it more confusing like that. So what I'm going to do is just paint around them, looking and painting around them. I know that's not a solution for everyone. That may not be a solution for most people. My only advice to you would be to practice doing a lot of these kinds of washes. That will be like the best way to tackle these kinds of things. Because it's not easy, and that's fine. I do want to mix more paint here. We need more. It's so funny, I never really stopped and pondered and thought so much during a live stream. And it's actually quite confusing. I'd honestly have an easier time if I just painted what I see the way I see it. But once I started analyzing it, it makes it a little more challenging, so that's good. I think it challenges me to try and do things a little better. So we're going to continue with our motif. Cover everything but the highlights, and wet for the darker spots, like we did here and here. Okay? That's all we're doing. So, I'll get started. From the highest point. Not from the left, from the highest point, which is this, you see? This. And we'll see what's up. The main part to remember is these buildings. That's really the buildings here. That's really where the highlights become really imperative and important to get right, like fully right. Now, I do want to add that tip of a building here. It's such a messy process. I was hoping for it to be a little more organized. Sorry about that. Whenever you try something new, that's to be expected, to be honest with you. Okay, this I want to leave as a highlight, as a pretty major highlight like this. Good. Now here, there's actually a bit of warmth, so let me add a bit of red to this mix, see? And then we'll work our way around these buildings here. Now you don't want to go too dark, because this isn't really that dark, to be honest with you. I'm going to go on my promise and go a little quiet for a few moments, okay? Sorry about that. Yeah, that's now it's starting to connect a bit. Yeah. Now look at the cars under the buildings. I'm just adding a few dots, and it actually looks like cars. Okay. I'm happy that the true process is relatable. That's a big part of what I'm trying to do here, really. The real process is messy, and it's honestly, it's not easy at all at times. Okay. Here we have some major highlights like this. This has to be on the shadow. They do get broken off by some details. That's good. That's fine. A little more blue. There's a dark shadow there, but then just a bunch of highlights. And I have to remember to connect these to the shadow underneath. But you see, hopefully it starts to make some kind of sense, I guess. Now I'm working my way around, kind of crooked, kind of around it, but that's fine. Let's just fill in these areas kind of with random shapes. This is all I can really do for this area here. Like that. This. There's a structure on the rooftop, and that structure casts this beautiful shadow, you see? Like that. There's also a fence, and that will cast another shadow, and just a few random shadows that I honestly made up. It's very hard to give this loose impressionistic feeling in the background and the tiny areas. It gets a little easier the closer it gets to us, okay? So just a point for thought, if you're a little frustrated, the details that are closer are a little easier to get done here. Let's see. Going a little bluer, just because it feels more suitable here. There's a shadow here inside this kind of a layer of the building. Like that. This should move down all the way here. That's a big mess, but a good one. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'm not gonna screw this one up too badly. Like this. Then we have this shadow cast by that. And don't worry, again, we're still not seeing this in the full context, so it will look a little odd at times, okay? Let's yellow it up a bit. And have this in the yellow like this, just to give it some more variety. This should be in the shadow, this should be in the shadow. And we get to this building that's actually closest to us. So that gets a little easier, because I can actually see what's going on there. It's funny. This is in the shadow. But then we also have these random parts that cast a shadow, you see? Like that. Let's blue this shadow up. Again, trust the process. Again, I don't know if what will be here is going to be worthwhile. I really don't. But you have to believe that it's worth trying, you know? Especially with these challenging paintings. I knew that this is going to be a challenging one. I wasn't going into it blind. I knew this is a little more complex, and so many people have asked for landscapes, and yes, they will be easier. If I'll do a landscape, it's going to be a little easier, but I have to also go with what I kind of enjoy doing. So, and these are my favorites. So let's add a bit of this warm red. Warm red, kind of burnt sienna color here onto this building. Okay, that's good. But there's a bunch of details on the street. I'll wait with those. Let's wait with those. I'll add these details later. I want to check it out for a moment. Okay, yeah, that's kind of weird, but it makes sense. It's a very strange wash. Now okay, let's do this. I have some time. It's not fully dry yet, so let me show you. I'm gonna take a risk here. It's not fully dry. There's still a bit of a sheen there. It's really hard to see, I know. What I want to show you is how I inject a bit of wet and wet there. Okay, so grab some strong paints. This will help us define the shapes of the buildings better. Okay, so very dark paints because we need to overpower the bit of water on paper. And we'll just start by bringing out these shadows on the buildings. Okay, so here's an example. Here's another example. These should be in the shadow. Behind this building there's a pretty significant shadow kind of enveloping it. Between these buildings, this is no longer wet and wet, this is just me going a little crazy and taking a risk. There's a stronger shadow there, but mostly it's going to be this kind of left section. It's going to be in the shadow like this. See, it just puts the building into a bit of a better context. This bottom should be a bit of a stronger shadow, and I kind of messed this one up. That's fine. I go like this. This should have a stronger shadow. All of these layers of that building. Yes, there are a bunch of windows, but I will add those later on. That's good. Okay, and we have a few slightly darker shadows here on a kind of random rooftops here and there. We don't see the side of the building, and that's a problem. So let me bring it back like this. I know it's a little dark, that's fine. Let me show you. The sides of the buildings, I kind of messed these up. So like that, just to show that there's something in between them. No, it's a little, again, too dark. I'll lift it back, and we'll still get something that's slightly darker. The cars underneath the building, again, on the road, you can see some of their shadows. Let's add some of the details on the road, actually. So we'll go fairly light here. And you see that this isn't white. There's like kind of a dark section, slightly darker. It's going to bring out the highlights more. So something like this. Let's look at the... Yeah, that's good. That's good. A bit more blue. Keeping it fairly light. Like that. This is kind of, I don't know exactly what it is, but the asphalt, due to the angle of the sun, can be seen a little better. There's also this similar thing going on here, and I know this is technically details, but I want to add it in now just to see the scene in a bit of a better context, okay? Now we have trees. Let's use a smaller brush, the one I lost right here. I'm a big fan of just painting things as you see them, as abstract shapes. But sometimes I like to challenge myself to actually see things as what they are, which is buildings in this case. And as you can see, it's not easy at all. So we have a bunch of trees here, and I actually like that they melt a bit, wet and wet. Basically a boulevard of trees here. Like that. There's this thing here, I don't know what it is. Could be like some boxes, a trash can, could be many things, to be honest with you. Stronger shadow here. Now I'm kind of doing abstract work, I'll admit, yeah. Now I'm looking at the shapes I see and try to put them in. So maybe it's my safe spot, I don't know. But plenty of different kind of shadows and details around that area. This is an awning. Maybe get the shadow here. Like this, yeah. So this is my mess of the first wash for the left section, okay? Now it's very messy. Let me take a few steps back here. I just want to see it clearly. Yeah, okay, that actually works. That works nicely. We will bring some more details and information later on with a dry brush. So now if you're not too tired, we can actually tackle this big lump of building. So let's see what you're writing and then we'll continue. Not easy, but possible. Very tiring. Let's see here. Oh, a bunch of comments. Okay, yeah, missed a lot of them. I'm going to continue maybe after the spam. How to keep or make the drawing flattened after watercolor. Yes, Sophia, I'll show you how to keep them flattened. All you have to do is make sure they dry thoroughly. That's the only thing, really. This is too strong. I'll have to lift it back later. Let's see some questions real fast. What about the orange in the sky? Yeah, I should have went more orange. Hello, you're a fantastic artist and teacher. Thank you so much, Melodia Singer. Raoul Campbell, please tell how to preserve your finished painting without framing them. Okay. I basically think you do need to frame them, to be honest. I don't know how to do it without this. It is possible. Someone shared a link to a video last live stream on how to do this. You can look for watercolor painting finishing or sealer or something like this, or no frame, something like that. Why wouldn't you add some yellow now if you want it? Because it is possible, but adding yellow will involve darkening it a bit, and I'm not sure I want to darken it. This bottom section, I can't just replace the blue here with a yellow, because as soon as I'll put a yellow, it's another glaze on top of it, so it's actually gonna look different from the reference photo. It's kind of like a roller coaster where I missed the ride in a way. I hope that makes sense. It is possible. Maybe we'll try it later on. Just don't know what the result will be. We have Greece in the house. Timefti Bozzini. Kitty Howler. Good morning, Liron. I have your book, Urban Sketching for Beginners. Very helpful. Thank you so much. Caroline Nixon, it's great that you show the true process. It's relatable. Really happy to hear. Romir Dubos, there's a lot of detail in this photo. Yeah, we're going for an hour and a half and there's a long way to go. Cynthia says, wow, it's looking fantastic. I would love to be able to do a vast cityscape when I'm urban sketching. I always want to put everything I can see in. Yeah, that's a big problem. Ray says this goes good with coffee in the morning. I really enjoyed my coffee in the morning today. Tyan Towers, how do you not lose patience halfway through? I tend to get impatient towards the end and rush the last bits and spoil all my work. Yeah, it's just, you have to build that reference experience of doing more and more of these and really seeing them till the end. That's the only way, really. Now really looking at the painting, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. The edges here, too sharp, too dark here. This is too dark, should have gone lighter. This is too dark, should be warmer and lighter. Wet and wet is rough, I'm telling you. Everything that involves a gradual transition is challenging. I think I'll try and work on that a bit in the near future. I feel like my colors start to fall into place more. When I want to match them, I'm able to, but this is another skill I need to work on. This would be great as a panorama races. Yes, I agree. Hello, I'm from Taiwan. Thank you for being here. Jack Cerrone, so is he not doing an soft edges in this wash? Does it not need any? Yes, you're right, Jack. I just realized that this should be a softer edge. Yes, it is necessary in some places, and I didn't do it. Maybe I should have. Chimefti Bozzini, yeah, and don't worry, Liron, we get it. You need to focus and be quiet at times. It's great. We can see your thinking process and struggles. Hopefully, if you're just listening, it's not too boring. Barboy, this is so helpful, Liron. Many revelations in this one for me. Cool. Really happy to hear. Pence Palacio, how about the touch of yellow by the horizon? Yeah, we may try doing that. Was thinking that for the background. Very difficult piece. Maybe needed a half a sheet. Maybe. Here I sit with two 12 by 18 inch mixing palettes, using them both sometimes, and use a tiny one. I think I'm doing something wrong. No, just work with the tools you enjoy working. It's perfectly fine. Using two palettes sound fun, if anything. John, great job, Liron, on painting, talking, and reading questions. Such a mix. Yes. Marjorie says you're not alone. I have different colors in different palettes, often have 3 open at once. Wow, that's crazy. How are you able to differentiate those shades of the same color? Honestly, I'm not following what I see to the T. As you can see, changed quite a lot. I just went for a neutral kind of gray, and I add a bit more blue and a bit more yellow and a bit more red to it. based on how warm or cool it feels. So that's mostly it, I will say. Now, I know it looks strange right now, but again, once we put in the rest of it, it will make much more sense, okay? I'm tempted to just blast through this section at a one go, but we'll see about that. I don't know, we'll see. Adding yellow glaze in the sky would turn it green, wouldn't it? Not necessarily. Raoul Campbell, please tell your favorite artist so we can look at their work and learn from them also. Mark Foley is really good. John says, love your recent self-portrait. Thank you so much. Surab Singh Art Club. Surab Singh Art Club. Drawing Minister, I salute you. Thank you so much for saluting me. Matsuzaka, how do you paint something you don't know, can't recognize? It's a good question. It is possible. Just paint it as you see it. You disconnect from your brain and work with your eyes. That's what I have to say. Jack's around. Great job either way. Very enjoyable. Thanks for the time. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much. Jack will continue with the next wash now, with the next step of the wash, working our way around this section. Let me see how this goes, okay? Let's just give it a try. I'll have to be quiet for a few moments just to find my groove. This is a little darker. This should be a little darker. Point. Come to a point here. That. And then what I like to do, let's drop a few dark spots, which I will then immediately blend into a lighter wash, okay? And about temperature, it feels a little warmer actually, so that's good what I have here. Like this. There's tons of highlights here. Should I just go like this? I don't know. Like a dry brush? Maybe I should. Let's see. So many tiny highlights. It's just do it as I would if I wasn't filming. We'll see how it goes. I like this thin strip of shadow and then another thin strip of light. That's good. Ooh, messed this one up badly. Okay, that's a lot better. That's what I wanted. Connect this here. Mostly be mindful of the rooftops and where they are. I like this. Okay, I think this wash goes this section goes a little better. I think, just a little better. Still super challenging. This goes here, we have a strip of light. Then we start getting to the closer details. Just a little cleaner, I guess, for some reason. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And onto this rooftop that's super close, so here we have to be a little more careful with the details. Keep this kind of behind. Let's see if there are any dark spots to add while we're here. And just with a bit of blue, just here and there. Otherwise, I'll lose my sanity if I'll start actually painting each and every detail else I see. So we'll do it this way. Bit of a shortcut, if you will. But shortcuts sometimes play a role, so that's better. And let's do this. Get it wet for longer and continue with the wash. Full steam ahead. Negative painting around these chimneys. Going over this building, making up a few details on the rooftop. That casts a shadow towards us like this. See? That looks nice. Maybe one thing that cuts through this entire thing, but a different distance than the other two. Keep this kind of like that. We have these beautiful chimneys here, casting a shadow towards us. Shadow here under the building. Let's get this shadow a little darker. That's nice. It's really what watercolor is all about. Okay, we're good. Now, this part of the rooftop is in the shadow. And also this front part is in the shadow. Side, however, is not in the shadow. It's funny, it's like I'm talking to myself. Going crazy, maybe. So here we go. Shadow. Yeah, that's like that. There we go. There are a bunch of details on the rooftop here. Let's get them in. Like this. A bunch of cast shadows. And then finally the wall. Hoping this didn't dry too badly. Let's add a bit of blue. So this section works a little better in my opinion. I don't know why, again, you can't foresee these things. And if you got a section that works well, be grateful for it. Ask what you did to deserve it. And continue with your life, basically. This is my tip. No, I'm kidding. Like, try and analyze it and figure out what you did right. Because you may be able to recreate it. Okay, shadow behind these chimneys. It's going to play a major role, actually. This needs to be blue. Why? Because look at it, it's darker, and I think the blue would fit right in here. Side of the building is a little warmer, so more yellow, more red, more spray. Crazy. Crazy process, really. We're definitely doing something easier next week. For sure. Side of the building. A bunch of small highlights in that direction. Look at that. That's a really nice shape. Really, really nice shape. Cast shadows from the buildings. They are important. Working around these random shapes here that are going to cast a shadow. Like that. We have another kind of a chimney style thing here. This has a shadow. This has a shadow. This is in the shadow. And we'll do the bottom of the building a little red to make it kind of stand out from the rest, like this. Now here's where wet and wet will come in very handy. So let me take a risk and go once again with my water sprayer. Like this. This is a crazy wash, I know. Thank you for bearing with me. Make this darker. Okay. Now, let's start doing some wet and wets here to get some areas feeling a little more hidden, a little more in the depths. See how fast I'm mixing right now? I don't have the luxury of working really slowly, so this is dark. See? This looks nice. This building here is dark. Bunch of darker shapes in the background too. This should be a little darker as I started and then chickened out. This entire section could be a little darker here, right next to the bottom. Not sure if this was the right move, but that's fine. It wasn't the right move. Doesn't matter. Some blue. Make mistakes, then move on. It's fine. Mistakes are okay to make. I think this is good for this section. You could add these small details. Let me show you. These are nice. You can find them on many, many rooftops in Paris. You know, these kind of, I don't know, shingle lines or whatever these are. Completely making these up. I see them in very few places, but we can exaggerate that look to get some interest going. Same for these shingles that face towards us. We can actually get some of these chimneys to be a little darker here, because they're really in the foreground. So like this. See how it makes them pop? We have some dark windows there. Let's put in these windows now while it's still wet. Let's finish this building right now, okay? One thing that will help seeing its shape is to add a definition around the top. So let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do this even in the middle. It can help. This. And that. See, it just gives it a more of a square kind of a shape. And I'll keep putting in the windows. A few longer windows, I guess. Like that. And we're pretty much done with that section. Okay. Now the right section. You're painting like Milan Mulik. That's a great compliment. I love Milan Mulik's style. John says, Liron, you mentioned a while ago taking measurements not to listen to music podcasts while you paint. Has this helped you? If so, in what way? Yeah, I'm more focused when I don't listen to anything while I paint. To be quite honest. I'm trying to wean myself from that and to just be able to paint and even sketch and draw distraction free. It actually helps. It can be less fun sometimes in the beginning, but then once you get into the groove, you realize that you actually take all your fun from the art process itself rather than from the music you listen to, the podcast you listen to, or whatever. So it really helped me actually. I'm going to add a few details here with a fairly dark lines with my tiny rigger brush like that. We'll add some of the cars too in just a moment. There's this car coming out of the parking or whatever that is. Bit of a detail. You see, it's just, there shouldn't be really a gap here this big of just yellow, so I'm trying to fill it up with some kind of abstract shapes. What am I looking at here? I think this is for a tram or something like this. So we got these wires running, or just maybe power lines, I don't know. Actually, I'm going to create power lines out of them because it actually makes sense. So something like this, I guess. Just to make sense of this shape. Maybe it's even lanes and I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe it's traffic signs, I don't know. But I'll do that. Some of these trees cast a shadow. It's just I want to make this area look a little busy because that's where our focal point is. We may end up finishing this painting. It's already almost 6. Let's add a few of the cars I told you about earlier. So we have one car here. Okay, for the cars, actually, let's do it properly. I'm going to start with kind of a mid-value wash for all of these. And then I'll add the darker shape for the shadow. So shadow, 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 see? And shadow, hopefully that makes sense. I think that looks good. Something like this. Yeah. There's actually a lot going on here. We have this kind of a thing that crosses the road, the chicken. Like that. Bit of a dark line here. If you went too dark, just go with the tissue, the one you blew your nose with just a moment ago. Disgusting. And I think for now that's good. Let's add a few of these that I just made up, and then some cast shadows. And that's it. I think we're good. I think we're good to go. Let's get on with the right section. Not before we look at some comments. Real quick, this painting is one hell of a thing. Plus I have no idea really how I'm doing. It's hard to see it cleanly, but I guess it's coming together nicely. It's just a big mess. It's really just painting the thing. You see how this second wash just finishes the whole thing? It's pretty crazy. From afar it looks really good. From afar it looks better. Okay, let's see what you're saying. This painting is... Pen says a bigger mixing palette might help, but not really, you know, that's enough. That's actually enough. I don't need more room than that. Let's see here. John Floyd, Leonard, Texas, USA. Kim Power, beautiful, therapeutic, love the extreme details, so time consuming, love getting lost in a painting. Thank you. And yeah, so here's the thing. Someone asked me about connecting the shadows. Why would you do that? And if I can show a comparison when you don't do it. That's exactly it. This is why you connect as much as you can, because it simplifies the vision for the viewer. A master of this is actually Mark Foley that I mentioned earlier. He's crazy. He merges everything together, but the highlights, and it looks so realistic and so good. If I start painting this wall separately, and then this wall, and this wall, and this wall, and this wall, it may look good. My guess would be that it won't look as good. Okay, so this is why I do it. M. Aditya, how do you know the perfect colors? I don't. That's the secret. I don't. I just really wing it. I'll start from something, so I knew I needed a gray, and then I'll gradually add a bit more blue here, a little more red there, a little more yellow here, okay? I wing it a lot of the time. Don't overthink it. In these complex paintings, we have so much to focus on that honestly it's fine if you don't really match the colors to the T. Focus on the values for this. Now I do see something I want to correct here. I don't know why it looks, it's easier to see it in small, so this should be a little bit of a stronger shape. And I actually want this should be darker. I actually see it now. This part should be much darker. It's interesting. Add some water. Now I'm seeing it small because I'm looking at what you're seeing, and I see the entire thing. This also, these all should be a little darker areas, like that, like that. This here, yeah, that's much better. That's much better. This section looks a little better now. TN Towers, you talked about Missile Blue in a recent video. Can you talk about their process and how they seem to blend everything together and make it look like one wash? Oh God, that's so good. I tried to figure that out by watching their video, but I couldn't. Is it dry and wet? Okay, TN Towers, here's the thing. We have someone who's a master of water to paint ratio and of wet and wet. Missile Blue, the way they work is, I think it has to do with a very clever planning of where to paint first. So you'll see them paint the hair and then combine it with the background. But then he'll continue after it dries and add tiny little hairs on top of it. And then he'll pull out a shadow on the face like this from the hair. I think it's really about being a master of water to paint ratio, and if there's one thing I would practice is this, and wet, obviously. I think that's the main thing, honestly. And I will add to that a very good understanding of an ability to observe values in colors, because he really gets the subtle transitions, like from, this isn't subtle, there's light and shadow and it's very clear, but within the light, you have these smooth transitions from slightly dark to slightly darker. He really notices all of these changes. So it's a combination of great observation skills that were developed probably with hardcore practice and the ability to execute them in a painting, which is huge. Okay, so I hope that helps. Other than that, watch a lot, practice a lot. That's the one thing I can say, the only thing. Leonardo, I hope one day I'll be at a level closer to that so I can actually share that with you. Leonardo Mauriciano says, thumbs up, thank you so much. John, Liron, you mentioned a while ago, okay, yeah, listening to music. Vojta, Chapelak, how are you? Sorry for always having trouble with your name. I'm on online school meeting right now, so I only can come to check about half an hour. Dude, so far this is absolutely amazing. I love it. Can't wait for my next check in 30 minutes. That's fun, so you get to see snapshots of the process. Jack Ciron, did he set what, did I say what paper I'm using? This is Arch 300 grams cold press, so it has a bit of texture. Sam Handel says appreciated. Pipe Smoker Cowboy Chris, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents indeed. Abhijit PH, you are painting like Milind Mulik, thank you for the compliment. Ray says after this is dry, could a bronzish cast glaze over the whole thing get the essence of setting rising sun in the photo? Interesting. It could be an interesting thing to try. Maybe we will try it. Interesting suggestion. We'll see. John says, this is a gem of a demo, Liron. I love these types of scenes, but I have no idea how to attempt them. Your narration alongside your painting is so helpful. So I really hope that, because a lot of people say the narration is helpful or the video is helpful, but they don't know how to tackle it. So I really hope after seeing this, it does give you something practical. I'm talking to everyone, not just you, John. That's my fear, that people enjoy watching, but they don't really learn something from it. And that's the thing I want to make sure that you actually get something tangible from it. So one thing for this, maybe a good kind of a lesson would be to focus on these two things in the dreaded second wash. I'm gonna put some hand cream. My fingers are cracking really bad because of the dryness and the cold. But yeah, if there is a lesson here, it's this one to me. The dreaded second wash, very challenging. Focus on two things. Avoiding the highlights and paint with a very unified kind of color. But avoid the highlights and go wet and wet wherever you can, if you can make it. Because it is a challenge to do everything simultaneously. Mark Foley, yes. Sophia, you're right. Mark is just with a C. Make sure you write it with a C. M-A-R-C. Run is Rose series. Okay, yeah, Painting Masters. If anyone can link Painting Masters, Mark Foley's episode in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Marth922, love the use of temperature of grays is using in the piece. Thank you so much. Mark Foley, thank you, Mark, for saying that. Raul Campbell, please tell her serious. Lugine Delozier, I think you are brilliant, beautiful. Thank you. Deborah Samsel, this is very helpful for me. I've been sitting on a drawing of a city scene and I didn't know how to watercolor. Thank you. Go for it. Just go for it. If you're afraid of ruining a drawing, just make another one in advance. It will remove some of the pressure. Create a few paintings, a few sketches, sorry, so that you know that if you mess one up, you have another one to work with. I did that in the past a few times. Eldon Summers, hey, welcome aboard. Carolyn Nixon, your painting is amazing. Thank you. Ray, I like the look of the sidewalk on the right side of the street. Really cool. Thank you. Anantha Rama Arali, looking like Joseph Z work. I wish there's a long way to go. He's crazy. He just put things in the right spot. It's incredible. I have a lot to learn. Jean Covelli, love watching this painting come to life. Liron, you are so talented. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Thank you so much, John. Timothy No Fleur, are you going to glaze with yellow at the end? So everyone wants it, so I'll just do it. I'll just glaze a yellow and we'll see what happens. I think I'll use yellow ochre, not nickel azo yellow. I have my yellow ochre somewhere around here. I'll find it, bring it, we'll use that. Decision was made. Thank you for the suggestion. Can you mention the time of some chats to find where you're speaking of? Thank you. Can you mention the time of some chats? Do you mean like when I go live? Every Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I hope that helps. I hope that's what you meant. Let me know if not. When did you actually start watercolor? About 6 years ago. Pence Palacio, I really thought you would include that lens flare, but I think it would be very difficult. No, I actually like the lens flare, and I can edit later, believe it or not. We can actually lift that. I know what you mean, like this area. We could actually try, kind of like the forest scene that we did. We can try that. So yeah, it's not doomed. I'm gonna write down a note for myself so that I don't forget. Yellow glaze, lens flare. We can try. Again, every time I do these painting demos live, we just end up trying a bunch of things. Agnieszka Janiak, thank you for sharing your painting process. Painting and talking at the same time requires an incredible focus. You're great, thank you. Tiger Genial, or Genial, I don't know. Hi, thank you for being here. Ray, yes, looking at the front of that first building in the photo, it is very modeled with color and shade. Rita Prahl, without the warm in the background, the mood will be different indeed. Joaquin Elizalde, I'm painting along, but basically I'm copying your painting and not painting from the picture. That's really fun. Still, I find it a valid exercise given that I'm just getting started with watercolor. Actually, it's a really valid exercise. I've done that a lot in the past. It works really well, in my experience. It's a second-hand impression. It's fun. It's just fun in a way. It lets you focus on the more abstract things because I'm already abstracting them. I hope that makes sense. I do see a couple of corrections I will make soon that will greatly improve this one, I think. So good things to look forward to, I'm telling you. Ira Umanes. Jay Humsung is a master in face painting. Yeah, portraits, he's so good. Anthony Joseph, excellent shades of color with first wash coming through beautifully, but the tower looks tilted. Yeah, a bit. I know. Maybe it's because of the angle of the camera. I don't know. Like this, it's better? Let me know. Marjorie Johnson, okay, what hand cream looking for that one that doesn't leave oils on my paper or fabric? This is L'Occitane. Uh, the one with the 20% shea butter. I have like terrible hands right now. Really, really bad. I never put hand cream in the past, but this last 2 years I started getting like really bad crackling red, sizzling red dryness. It's terrible. The time of chat you are answering, I'm not sure, but answering what? Let me know. FT was how do you feel about gouache? I mean, adding it to your watercolor. Perfectly open to that. I think it's a good idea. Carolyn Nixon. And the red canopy, I love that bit of red. Yes, we'll get that. Let's do it. Let's continue. Let's pick up the pace, wrap this one up in like 20 minutes so we can actually finish the painting. Wasn't expecting on finishing it, but I guess we will have to. We'll have to deliver on this one. So bear with me as I try and deliver this one. So, awning, canopy, whatever we want to call it. I'm going to pick up some clean red, okay, as clean as I can get it. Now here's where it gets tricky. So you may think this canopy is really, dark red. It's not, it's very light. So I'm going to put it in. See, a very light red. And this will be enough to communicate the idea. Okay, let me see what it looks like through the camera. I'm just curious. Yeah, okay. Now if you want to make it a little stronger, you can. You can add a bit of stronger red, some spots. But this will do the trick, I think. Good. We're done with the canopy, and we can move on. Now, one thing I did want to do is slightly darken these buildings. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they face a little away from the sun. Feels to me like they need to be a little darker. So let's do that. So I need kind of a very light gray. And you asked about glazes that are thin. Here we go. After this wash, we're still adding glazes that are thin. Okay, it's not always going straight to darker and thicker paint. Now let's fix this line while we're at it. My hands are a little oily, which is annoying, but we'll deal with it. Now you see what this does. I think it just feels a little more accurate for the buildings that face away from the sun. A little more away from it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Maybe the last one could be a little lighter, like this. But I think that's good. That's better. What else? There's a bunch of cars there. Why not? Let's get those in while we're at it. It's just there's a lot more details here in the distance. So you see all of these hints at cars. Just dots. You don't need much to hint at cars at this distance. It's literally dots. If you're having a hard time, you don't know how to paint cars, it's just dots. I'm telling you. A bit of a detail here and there. Okay. Now, let's get on to the right side. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to need another large quantity. Now let me observe the colors here actually. So the colors are relatively muted and blue, which makes sense. It's a little more the periphery of the painting. Got a bit of a water drop here. Let's get rid of that. And I do wonder, here's what I'll do. Okay, yeah, I know what I'll do. I'll just have to go for it. We'll see how it goes. Let's mute this blue just a bit by adding a bit of everything else. A quick way to achieve, by the way, gray with this palette is to use a bit of purple here that's very dark, and then a bit of yellow. And I find that they neutralize each other pretty well, not perfect, and they can get dark very fast, so that's good. But in any case, I think this one's ready to roll. Let's start here. So we have this building. This may be a little too dark, so and maybe more blue here. Lighter and bluer. Sorry if I'm moving the camera, my bad. Side of the building that's facing away from us. Now here, we have to darken the whole thing, see? Because this entire thing is dark. Side of the building. Top is visible. And then it's the street. And everything else is going to be the street. Put in a highlight or two. This area is pretty much in the shadow. A bit more blue, I think. There's quite a lot of, I don't know, I guess white sections there that look blue. Here we go. I think I messed up a shape here, but that's fine. We'll just turn this into one big building. One big happy building. Okay, here we go. Because these things cast a shadow. This is a shadow like this. And again, these areas don't need too many details. They're really at the side of the painting, so it's better to even avoid going too detailed here. Now here's a cool trick for you. It's actually been at play so far, but I haven't mentioned it as much. Just gonna get this section a little darker between the buildings. If you can get just one thing to look like a building, the rest will read as a building. So let me show you what I mean. First, let's continue with this, because otherwise it's going to dry on us. For the middle, I'd actually like to use clear water to help the paint move, because the middle is a little lighter than the sides of the road, so why not? There we go. I think this puts things in a better context, like that. So if you can get this building to look good, the rest will read well. That's the key here. So let's see if we can do that. This is the side of the building. Actually, we don't have much time, so before we do that, we'll have to finish up with this section for the sidewalk. So I'll have to just work on that section for now. And if you'll notice, you actually get a few light shining through, but it's still within a shadow. So I'm going to keep it fairly wet and wet. Let me show you what I mean. Look at this. See? See all these lights that shine through from trees, maybe in the boulevard here, but they're still wet and wet. And you want to keep these fairly thick. I'll look at some of your messages soon. I see a lot of them. Okay, here we go. Now onto this last building. Finally, it's time. A bit more blue up top. So here's what we'll do. This should be a straight line. This is actually light, but still darker than paper white. And then we have this side that's kind of blue, okay? And then the wall that's a little bit warmer, a little bit more yellow. See? So this looks hopefully like a building. Hopefully it does. This wash will dry uneven. Couldn't do much about it. It was under a lot of pressure from other parts of the painting. That's fine. Maybe do a tree here just to blend some of this transition. I don't want it to be that sharp. And here we'll add these dormers, which are beautiful. So these look really good. It's 1, it's 2, 3, and 4. See? And then we'll add this teeny tiny line and the rows of windows like that. And let's get some wet and wet, darker action going. And we're actually really close to wrapping this one up. So there is some dark sections here and a window and windows. See? We'll keep these fairly light because again, this is kind of the edge of the painting. Don't want to go too detailed there. Cars. It's a good opportunity to start putting in all those abstract cars in the shadows and strengthen some of these cross shadows from the trees. See, it's in the shadow, but it's still there. You still see it. Some more cars here. We'll add some shadows to the cars too, just to make it read better. Trees. Now a bit all over the place, I know. Sorry about that. You gotta be flexible and see a detail, put it in. See another detail, put that in. You know, it's part of the process, really. All of these shapes that I completely blew up and messed up, that's fine. And a bit of, I don't know, touches of slightly darker sections here and there, but I think, believe it or not, this is done. Let me see this on the screen. Almost done, I mean. Let's see what it looks like from far. Yeah, that's nice. One thing I would change that isn't clear enough, and I think this will really help, is this is a wall of buildings. So it has to create a distinction between this, which is a road, and the building itself. That's really important. It's actually much darker than the buildings that are to the right. So yeah. And then it connects to the sides like that. I hope that makes it a little clearer that the street starts there. Let's see. A little lower, like that. Yeah, that's better. This building annoys me to no end. So what am I gonna do with it? I'm gonna make this part disappear. Plays no role. Looks bad. I'm gonna make this part a little diagonal. Like this. See? Diagonal. It has some objects on it. They don't cast a shadow, that's fine. Okay, I think I'll take a break in just a moment, look at some of the things you wrote, and then continue, because it feels like I need to get a little farther from the picture here, just to reset and see it clearly. Okay, just gonna go a little darker. This should be darker, in fact. There we go, like this. Okay. Whew. Okay, let's see. This was one messy. Yeah, okay. I see some more fixes. Some more fixes. Let's do this. This entire corner is gonna be dark. Sorry to say, it has to be. A little more blue, perhaps. I know it's crazy what I'm doing right now. It looks a little crazy, but trust me, I gotta frame this. Look at the reference photo, it's just so much darker, and I have to frame this lower end. If I want to move it a bit, I can just go like this. See, it will just spread it out a bit, but I have to do this. What else? This here has to be darker. I'm literally now back to abstract shapes mode, okay? If you're wondering what the heck I'm doing right now, I'm looking at the reference photo and I'm seeing all these shapes that don't look right in my painting, so I'm patching them up. Okay, that's what I'm doing. This has to feel like more part of the backwash, so I'm kind of darkening some sections and helping them move a bit. Like this. Okay, that's better. This is a little darker here. Okay, it's one hell of a wash. I will say this. Okay, let me take a few steps back. Sorry, bumped the camera. Yeah, that's closer. Okay. We'll soon work on the clouds and then wrap it up, I think. Phew. 20 minutes. I said 20 minutes. Now it's been 20 minutes and we still have a bit more. Let's see. I'm gonna take this, throw it in the trash. I'm not gonna blend anything with it. Cynthia says, I get cracked hands, especially thumb and some fingertips. Put Vaseline on at bedtime, wear cotton gloves over. Very romantic, but it really helps. Vaseline, I need to try. I heard that petroleum stuff is better. Silvana, thank you, Liron. Besides the technical details, the take-home message for me is don't be afraid of the process. Just practice it with no fear. Yes, that's exactly right. That's the only thing there is. There's just process. There is just doing it and painting over and over again until you get something that you like. There is this beautiful diagonal line here. Is it a cable, electricity? What is it? I don't know, but it's here, and I love how it breaks through. Maybe it's science, I don't know. It breaks through that straight line. That's exactly it. That's the entire message. Timothy Knopfler recommend Cornhuskers lotion for your hands, not oily at all. Noted. Cynthia. If you blur a little bit in the right bottom corner, it will make the Eiffel Tower look better and focused. Oh, okay, you mean this? I think actually that's what I ended up doing. Let me tell you, I'm going to show you how I fixed the Eiffel Tower, okay? It's a bit of a risky move, but what are these live streams about if not risky moves? Let me show you. All I'm going to do is wet it and lift, okay? It may seem like insanity to some. It's too strong, it's too prominent. You don't need it to be this dark. Now it's better. Now it's better. I know it looks a little crooked. Let me help you with that. It actually is a bit crooked. Let's see if we can fix that. When I painted it, I knew it's too dark. That's the thing that kills me. I knew it. I think now it looks a little better. A little less crooked. Yeah, I think that's a little better. Let me know what you think. I think I straightened it out just a little bit. It's a little leaning. That's fine. It's like the leaning tower. That works. Wadha edits. Hi, awesome bro. Thank you, John. Fabulous result, Liron. So enjoyed being able to watch today's live in full. I'm so happy for you, John. Thank you so much for being here. James Baker, thanks again for the wonderful demonstration. I always learn so much. See you next week. Will do. Thank you so much for being here. Carol Vadney, amazing work. Love watching your work. You give great instruction and encouragement. We haven't finished with this one yet, by the way. There will be a bit more. Just saying. What else bugs me about it? A couple of things bug me about this one. I have an idea. We'll really take a risk, okay? If you stuck around so far, let's do this. What we're going to do is another wash on the sky, render the clouds while we're at it, and add that yellow to the bottom. How's that? How does that sound? It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy, but we'll give it a go. We'll try. Barb, have you ever heard of bag balm for dry skin? I heard of balm, but I only heard of lip balm, so maybe I should try it out. Thank you for that. John Floyd, how long have you been painting? I think I said 6 to 7 years, something like that. If you're talking about this specific painting, I don't know, it's like 2.5 hours now. Marjorie Johnson, hope I'm around for many more years as I have watched you, just to see what you can do then. I'm impressed by your growth as an artist. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. Anantha Rama Orali, 2.5 hours of hard work shows the finished painting. Great work. Thank you so much. There's still a lot to improve in this one, actually. I'm now kind of... some stuff bugged me about it. We'll see. We'll see how we fix it. But thank you so much. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Alvaro spits on his work. Yeah, that's true. I think the camera lens warp makes it look more crooked than it actually is. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, and yeah, that's better. Tower, thank you so much, Raul. Do you prefer granulating or non-granulating watercolors better? Asks Marth922. I don't have a preference. I like both, actually. Okie doke. Let's do this. So, clouds. I'm going to draw the clouds, and then we'll do another wash paint around them. I know it sounds crazy, but we'll do it. And if you trust me, it'll produce a nice little result, okay? So I'm now drawing the clouds a little stronger so that I know what to avoid. Like this. See, don't be afraid to draw over an already painted section. It's really not a big problem. Here we have another cloud. Let's skip that. We'll definitely skip these in this area. This kind of a cloud is also to be skipped. This is okay. We have a big cloud here and a bunch of small ones. We'll see what we'll do about those. Big one here too. I mean, come on, why are we here if it's not to take risks? So let's do that. Here's my strategy. We're going to do the same thing we did in the first wash. We'll pre-wet everything but the clouds, because we need to skip those, okay? Bear with me, we'll try and make it look good still. Can't promise too much because it's a highly complex wash, but we'll try. And I'm gonna start with some darker blues, okay? So let's do a bit of purple. I'm using this brush now because it's kind of a midway between the huge one I used earlier and something that has a bit more control over the tip, okay? I need lots and lots of paint here. My problem with this brush is that it's a bit of a hard time to bring out the paint sometimes. I don't know why. It's like it's extra soft. Let's try with this one first and see what happens. I don't know why. Also, this French ultramarine now starts to go too not soft on me. I like what it was earlier. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So a bit of yellow in that. Yeah, that's more like it. It's way too much. That's fine. Again, I'm building it up slowly. More water. It's going to take a few moments. I use ochre, mix it with a very mild reddish purple so the sky doesn't turn gray. Would that work or too much risk? Everything we're doing from this point onwards is a lot of risk. Too much risk? That's the question. That is the question. I think we'll go for it and it'll work. It'll work out. But it's definitely, everything we do now is a risk, okay? But we're here for that. This is exactly why we're doing these live streams. So let me try it out. Worst case, we blew it up. We how do you say that? Blow it up, I guess. Blow up, I don't know. But in any case, let's do this. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna pre-wet everything. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry if there's a bit of tint of purple. That's fine. And I'll skip the clouds, okay? Skipping those. I would honestly never recommend doing what I'm doing right now, but we're gonna do this for science and experimentation. I'll never recommend doing what I'm doing right now. It's super risky. But yeah, these are all things that should have been achieved in the first wash. Once they weren't, you're kind of better off just finishing up the painting. But we're gonna do it differently. So let's get to it. Starting with some of these darker blues here at the edges, working our way around the clouds. Now I do want the clouds to have an interesting form, so let's break it off a bit. Like that. Obviously, we're not just gonna keep the form we had so far. I need more blue. Of course, I'll need more blue at the moment of truth. Like that. Now what I'd like to do is actually do this and then do that. I know it looks like a huge big mess, but I don't know, why not? I mean, come on. Let's get rid of this. And let's use the water spray just to blend some edges. These are too many clouds. Let's get rid of this one. This has nothing. This doesn't play any important role. Go around this kind of a cloud. Is it a cloud? Where is that cloud? Here we go. Okay, good. There's actually quite a bit of darkness here. Again, my colors aren't that on point, but that's fine. And we'll lean it like that so it doesn't go over the sun. I'll use the side of the brush to add some shadows to that cloud here, like this. Okay. Like that. We'll work our way. So here you see here, this other cloud starts. So let's soak back these water. And here, what are we going to do? We're going to fix our mistake from earlier and go warm. Yellow ochre. Let me get my palette. The one with the trusty yellow ochre. The question is, should I have gotten it in advance? And the answer is yes, I should have. So we're gonna have to work fast here. Okay, yellow ochre, where are those? Let's see here. Okay. That's good. That's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. Let's see. I'm yellowing it up a bit. And working around these clouds. The clouds aren't gonna have too much of an interesting shape to them because I'm kind of in a hurry here. But it's gonna be good enough. That really is the enemy of great. Good enough. Let's see here. I know this is a very strong yellow. That's fine. We'll soon see. Now it looks better. Make your way between the clouds like this. Is it overworked? A bit, yes. That's fine though. Let me finish the shape itself and then I'll figure out what to do with the clouds a bit more in detail. Going all the way down like this. Okay, good. Now we have the problem of a very fast change in temperature from cool to warm. So let's help it blend a bit. And by the way, don't worry. I know it looks crazy right now. It's gonna look better, trust me, because there's one more step we need to take after that. So it's not, we're not done. Like I know you say, what the hell is going on in here? There's more. We're gonna actually add some shadows to the clouds, which will put them in the right context. Okay, so just letting you know. To be honest, we can do that now. So let's do this. I actually want to keep the yellow ochre. Now it's action time. Action time, Liron. Like this. Yellow ochre. This yellow, this red. We need to get at some kind of a gray. It'll look good. Gray, 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 gray. Bit more yellow ochre, and you can understand why I can barely speak a word right now. I really need to see what's going on here. A little more yellow. Good. This is way too warm. More blue. Good. It's a little better. It's not perfect, but it's a little better. More blue. This. Some hard edges that then will balance with some soft edges, you see? And you can also help with your finger. That looks good. Softer edges. Okay, good, good. This is crazy. What are we doing here? This is complete insanity. But we'll do it for science. So here, a bit of a lighter kind of color. Here it's going to do wet and wet. It's going to cross through here. Yeah, that's good. A few dots here and there, just to show that this isn't just one big lump. And then a bit of this just to blend some of the edges here, see? There we go. Like this. Using the fingers just makes it a bit easier. Probably one of the craziest washes I ever did of anything. Good. This is way too hard of an edge. Can I blend it somehow? Let's see. There we go. Much better. Okay, that's good. That's softer. The temperature of the clouds really varies, maybe a little too much, but that's fine. Honestly, I have no idea what this looks like. Maybe it's one big mess, but that's fine for science. Okay, yeah, it's super overworked, but for science. That's our excuse. And then we'll continue with this one here. Too dark, should be much lighter. So this is what you get when you kind of add these things later on. Optionally a big mess. Now, don't forget it will dry a little lighter, so We kind of messed up the sky, but we kind of saved some part of it, and it's not going to be as important once it dries. Okay, so that's kind of the takeaway for me here. This should go a little longer. This should be in the shadow. This edge, 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 edge. I gotta practice clouds. I gotta practice clouds, like individually. I have a better shot of properly getting them if I do them individually. This is kind of doomed. Here's the one thing that really bugs me still is these edges here. We don't need them. It's really bad. Get rid of this drop of water. I'm just gonna blend all of these unnecessary hard edges and hope it doesn't completely yeah, okay, that's good. Now let me take a few steps back. Actually, it looks interesting. I don't know. It's definitely overworked in a way. Let's do this. I want to strengthen the tower a bit, just a bit up top. Okay. That's better. Let's do this. I'm going to dry this. Oh, wait. Before I do, again, some more hard edges. None of these should be here. None of these. And yes, it's a bit too late to get fully rid of them, but at least to some extent. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dry this, read your comments, see what's going on in the chat. I have no idea. It's just a big mess right now, but that's fine. And we'll be back in a moment. Okay, to be honest with you, I've been reading the comments, very interesting. So most people enjoy this. It is a big mess, but it's also, I think, it actually put things in the right context. Let me show you. So it's funny. We get so used to the way it looks, but if I take a few steps back, I think it actually works well as the sky. Let me switch over. We are not done yet. We're almost done, but... So yeah, I definitely think it looks better now. The one thing, yes, the clouds here is a mess. These I could probably lift a bit. The sun could definitely be rounder. But overall, I do like the context in which it put things. But it just goes to show you, like, one of my favorite spots is actually this one. And it goes to show you that, let me show you on the desk, when you let the paint do what it does best, flow, you get the best results. And this is kind of an accidental flow where the water flew between the clouds. So it's really fun. It looks almost like light rays. So yeah, again, if you can get this thing done in the first wash, it's so much better. I just have a lot of work to do on sky technique in particular. Probably should render some clouds to just do that as a practice session. Now, I do want to blend some harsh edges. And by the way, thank you so much for the feedback, and I'm happy that you enjoy me taking requests. I want to blend this hard edge just a bit more because that's one of the ones that really strikes me as kind of too much. Here as well. That's a little better. These annoyed me a bit. Let's try blending and also maybe lifting a bit, just to see what we can get away with. Here we go, just a bit. Yeah, because obviously the clouds are way more detailed than what I put here. What I put is kind of a measly excuse for clouds, so, you know. And I could lift those while it was still wet, but honestly I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't on it enough. There was for sure a better way of doing this. It's called the first wash usually, but it's fine. Now it looks a little better, I think. You see, the thing here is it's definitely darker. The sky is definitely darker in this spot, but I won't dare now darkening again. It's too much. I don't think there is a reason to. But just lifting a few of these maybe kind of will put things in the right context. And help, I don't know, balance it out a bit. This is annoying. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Yeah, so I think this is good. It's nice. It's interesting. I'm thinking if I want to add anything else. You can see my face. I could add some highlights. Honestly, I just hate the way the camera makes the painting look. Let me show you once again face to face. The camera has this way of editing it to reduce the details, and I don't like it as much. It's like it puts it under a filter of some sorts, you know. I will share a picture, obviously, probably tomorrow on Instagram. But yeah, I think it looks a little better in real life. What else? This is too dark. You see that we can do this now. The larger the painting is, the more details there are, the more time you can spend going, this is too dark, this is too light, and make corrections endlessly. You don't want to do that sometimes, but sometimes it's necessary. So let's do it actually. Like this, and then lift back. So it was too dark. There we go. This I actually like that it blurred a bit. I'm gonna keep it like that. I wanted to add some highlights. Let's do that real fast and then I think we'll wrap it up. Just because there are a lot more than I actually put in here. And they're very clean and nice the way I see them. So let's do that. Let's go for this. And I think then we're good to finish this one. The streams freeze a little every 10 seconds or so. Not just today, just thought to let you know. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. I have to improve our connection, and it will be better. My upload speed is terrible. So far, people didn't complain too much, but I think it is time to upgrade. My upload speed is like 3 megabytes. It's terrible. Should be 10 minimum. But anyways, so I'm gonna put, you see, just a few of these here. I don't know how much they're gonna show, but I just see so many of them that I can't ignore it. So many of these small, lighter spots. It's not even necessarily details on buildings and stuff. I will add a few, but for the most part, it's things like what I just showed you, just in the background. Very abstract things, really. I don't even know what they are, but I see them. There are some corners of buildings catching the light, stuff like that, but that's not as important in this example. It's really optional what I'm doing right now. Unlike other paintings where I kind of rely on that as a step, here it's very optional. You don't have to do any of this. But in any case, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It's been a crazy stream. I wanted to work slower. I wanted to devote, here are the chimneys. This can really help. I wanted to devote a little more time to planning and doing something a little more complex. It was very fun and very tiring simultaneously, I gotta admit. Let me know if that's the kind of thing you want me to do more of. I'll definitely consider This looks good. The light I just put here looks really good. Can actually see this side of the building. Why did I get rid of it? I don't know. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. I got a lot of emails, a lot of good feedback recently, a lot of good conversations. I like that I wrap it up as we paint. Too strong. And if there's anything you want me to do in a future live stream, I got the flowers idea. I think that's a really nice one. It will be a nice change from today, like a very complex, full of details scene, to do something that's a little more loose and flowy, and will help us practice some wet and wet, which is huge. I feel like I'm in a good place where I know where to put stuff, but when it comes to the fine control of wet and wet, there's a long way to go. I really like the portrait I did with you a few weeks back with the guy with the glasses, that heavily relied on wet and wet. I think that was a really good one. Just there's a lot more to learn, really. It's a lot more to practice the fine control. I think I'll do some cloud studies soon. We'll see how it goes. Kind of like Sergey, forgot his last name, does. He's good. But yeah, I think this is it. Let's turn it around one more time. And if I missed a question, please just write a comment, because I will go over the comments and I will see it, most likely. Even if I don't see your chat. Final result. I hope you enjoyed this one. It looks like people enjoyed it. One more thing I forgot again. I keep saying, oh, this is done, and then I keep adding. I did want to do one last thing, and this was really something I wanted. This is really something I wanted to do. Unlike the previous stuff that I just did. But that's really the last step. It's just a bit of these here. Just kind of a dry brush, because I really wanted to show that side of the building. I think it looks great. This here. See just a bit of that. Show the corner of the building. And yep, this is it, I think. Thank you so much. Let's see some of the comments. Let's see if I can get a few and then we'll wrap it up. From end to start. Lugin Delosier, thank you. You're a good teacher. Thank you for that. Natalie Alibali, magnificent. Thank you. Mark, the light area along the right of the center block of building. The light area along the right of the center block, like here. I don't know. Yeah, this one. I don't know why I left it before. I didn't leave it before. Stream is one constant lag. Sorry about that. Yeah, the connection's a bit extra slow today, I think. So this is why. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, John Floyd. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you, Eldon Summers. I really appreciate it. Deborah, John, Raul. Needs a guy in a launcher with mittens. Carolyn. It does look much better when you hold it up. Yes, that it does for some reason. Eldon, wow, that front building looks so much more red now. Yeah, it does, I know. How much would you sell this one for? Just curious. I have no idea, actually. I'll measure and check. I have like a list for sizes and prices, but I actually I'm starting to raise them now. With every sell, I raise it a bit more. Cubs win, low clouds towards horizon look like Jesus could be coming through. That's good. John, I think the rework of the skies produced a wonderful atmosphere. Thank you. It's almost a heavenly vibe, says Eldon Summers. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. The lens flare, you want me to get it? Yeah, okay, we'll get it. We'll get the lens flare, I promised. Okay. We'll try it. Honestly, I think we can... Let's see if I can get away with something here. Let's see. I'll try getting away with this. I keep wrapping up and then I'm like, yeah, okay, one more thing. Yeah, one more thing. We'll do it. Okay. Oops. So for the lens flare, I think what I could do, let me do this. Okay. This is really got to be the last step, because come on. Just because I promised, I mean, I have to do it. Lens flare. By the way, the video gets stuck every 10 seconds, right? But the audio, I think, is okay, right? Let me know. I'm really scared for it. So here I have this beautiful pale, green pale by PwC Shinhan. That's going to be this first lens flare. Honestly, I don't know if it will read like it, but We're good. And maybe I'll go like this. Like that. And then we'll put another yellow one. I don't know why it makes me laugh so much, because I never put a lens flare like that in a painting. It'll be funny if I destroy it now just by that. So like this. I could have lifted. Let's try lifting the other one. Let's see what happens. We'll try lifting that one. Lens flare. I just had to mention the lens flare, didn't I? Don't hate me for doing this. It's for science. This goes here. There we go. So for the lens flare effect, you'll actually need to lift a lot here. So all of this should be lighter. So it feels like it's within the lens. It's probably the craziest stream so far. And within that, I'm going to just put this Hansa Yellow Medium, which I barely use, by Daniel Smith. Let's see if I can get it opened. It's a bit of a tough one. And feel free to drop out. Everyone who's like, that's enough. That's enough messing around with this one. I need a plier. Okay, got it. Thought I'd need one, but I don't. I don't know, I think that's a lens flare. It's a very colorful lens flare. A bit of green, that green again. And I have no idea what I'm doing at this stage, so. And I doubt it actually looks like lens flare. I could put some opaque white paint, like the one I put earlier. Could try. Okay, we'll do this. Don't do it, lens flare shouldn't be included. Rita, I agree, but I made a promise. So here we go. I made a promise, I can't go back on it now. I agree that it shouldn't be included. I really do. Okay, that's good enough. So that's going to be our pretend lens flare. If from afar it reads like one, that's great. Keep painting on it until you can't tell the difference between it and the photo. Yes, that's what I should do. Let's give it a look from afar. Come on. That's it. There we go. You can imagine a lens flare at the bottom corner. Doesn't even look close, but that's fine. This should be much lighter, actually. You're gonna look at my face as I do this. Too shy to show you what it will look like. Good. Good, it's done. Okay, now it's really done. Come on. I'll show you. We'll wrap it up. And this is probably the last time in a while I'm gonna try and do something like this. But here we go, final result. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I am gonna finish the live stream now. Take care, have an awesome rest of the day, rest of the week. Tune in to Saturday. We're gonna have a new episode of a new lesson in the course, how to simplify. It's gonna be a good one. I consider doing 2. We'll see, maybe I'll post 2. So far the feedback has been great. Thank you so much. I think it's only gonna improve. I will see you again in another one. So thank you so much. We'll talk again real soon.